This week on the Steam Machine Podcast.
Dalton Squad struggling! Dalton Squad struggling!
Cue the music! Welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always, the Shoutout Bros.
Yo, what up, everybody? It's Nate.
Hey, it's Willie.
And this week, we're joined by some dude. He's some guy that does stuff on YouTube. He's got videos that he does, whereas he's shows off the handhelds. Mikhailov, how you doing, buddy?
I love how you don't even introduce me as a guest anymore. I'm more of like a scarab or a tick.
Nah, man, you're like that hammer that can't
barnacle, but
you're a barnacle.
Barnacle Mikhailov.
Barnacles. Nah, man, you're just at this point you're like the fifth Beatle. Like you're always around. You know what I mean? So
you're the fifth Beatle on our Rolling Stones podcast.
Yeah, I like to think of us more as Nirvana. We're a three-piece.
I don't know.
I guess I'm being Dave Grohl before anyone else says it.
Fine, I'm the other guy.
That's cool. I'll be the dude who's dead. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. I just got back from a 8-day cruise. That sounds great, but
yeah, you must have had a ton of fun, right?
I mean, I did have a decent amount of fun. You know what? For the purpose of this podcast, I'm going to stick to the positives. I went with my in-laws. We'll leave it at that.
I thought you said you were starting with the positive.
I'm just that's. I feel like I need to stress that part. But some of the positives: we got to celebrate my wife's 40th birthday.
Happy birthday, Miss Mikhailov. Mrs.
Retrogue.
Mrs. Retrogue. Sorry, that's your surname, Mikhailov Retrogue.
Mr. Rogue, Mr. and Mrs. Rogue. First name Rhett.
Oh, that's cute.
Retrogue. I've named you that in game before.
That sounds like some shit Scooby-Doo would say.
Retrogue.
Retrogue, Raggy.
So did you see any cool sights?
I mean, we went to Amber Cove, we went to Grand Turk, and we went to Half Moon Cay, which are all basically islands that are hot and gorgeous. And did I mention hot? So
you ain't gotta tell me what hot is, dog. Trust me.
Temperature-wise, yeah, they're quite warm, especially compared to Connecticut's humidity. But
well, I'm glad you were able to bring the hot and gorgeous with you.
Yeah, somebody's got to. So the big thing is I got to see my son and actively participate in my son learning how to swim, and that was a great feeling. Watching him go from being afraid of the water to actively smiling and kicking his feet and moving from one spot in the water to another spot in the water, it kind of melted my little daddy heart.
It's awesome, man.
Well, that's adorable.
I make things sappy here on the Steam Machine Podcast.
No, I've got this big dopey grin on my face because I think it's a very adorable thing, honestly. Like, I remember taking swimming lessons with my brother when we were kids, and, it that kind of thing means a lot, you know?
And now, in today's day and age, you look at Nate and he'll just sink. Nothing. I was expecting a middle finger or something. I'll get it from Dalton. That's fine. I love you, Nate. I'm just kidding.
It's okay.
Well, hell yeah, man. I'm glad for the most part that you were able to find some gleaming light in it.
Yeah, and really the negative things that happened were really just, a couple of familial incidents that I won't go into detail on. But they happened. I think they were left on the boat, so let's just say I'm happy to be home, especially considering Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail comes out tomorrow. So
yeah, I bet you're excited.
Very excited for that, and it's going to be very, very hard for me to focus and keep my attention away from that game so I can actually, do stuff like release content
And your own podcast.
and my own podcast, which it's not on hiatus, it's just on vacation. So I got to get that rolling again.
Yeah, man. It was. I've enjoyed the few episodes you guys have done so far.
All 2.
Yeah. Although, motherfucker, we have you here now. Let's bring it to the table before we move on to Willie. Of all the times, Mikhailov, that I have heard you say that Willie needs to get good, sir, you thought that Illusion of Gaia was too difficult.
And yet Willie got good with
Willie
Monster
did get
Hunter.
good. So
He officially got good. But yeah, I don't know.
my recommendation to you, sir, is to
Here
get
it
good.
goes.
Get good. It ain't that hard. I beat that game with no nostalgia. None. I just thought it sounded cool because the name was Illusion of Gaia. That sounds badass. So I emulated it and I beat it. Come on now. Where's the get good spirit, Mikhailov?
How much time did
Where
you
is
take, though?
Huh? Oh, it was a couple days.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Sat down and played it through emulation.
You know, I half wonder if I need to just take the Tadpog approach and just play a game for an hour.
If you don't like it, that's their thing. Play it for an hour. If you don't like it, put it down. If you do like it, then you can play it more.
The last few games that they've gotten through, they haven't even gotten to the hour.
It happens.
Yeah, like they're
Some games are bad.
playing some shitty stuff over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, I'm in the middle of...
I mean, they ran through the top 100 at the top of things, so like they've only got bullshit to go from now unless they find hidden gems. You know?
yeah. All of their early episodes are all of the good games.
Gotcha.
It's funny.
They're not getting Chrono Trigger next. You know what I mean?
Well, they're also going through the licensed games too, so they're literally scraping the bottom of the barrel for SNES.
Yeah.
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 I'm hoping like one day they move to like maybe Genesis or something, and then just gives them a different library to play through, so that maybe they can find some more gems and stop torturing themselves.
Well, I mean, they did play through the top Genesis, I think, and the top Nintendo 64 games already too, and
Oh, well, fuck.
they did not like the
PlayStation.
Nintendo 64 games.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't like the PlayStation ones either.
PlayStation is a good idea.
Maybe the 2D
I don't know. They
PlayStation
were
games.
especially unimpressed with the N64.
I mean, that's fair. Because N64, I feel, is a
I
system
feel like
that
it was mainly a Tyler thing too. I feel like Tyler especially hated N64 games.
I feel that N64 just did not age well as a system. Like, back then, it was the best thing ever. And looking back on it now, compared to the games we have today, like, even Mario 64, like, I struggle trying to play that game today. It feels dated.
That's because it is.
Yeah, but it's not in the nostalgic type of way, because Super Mario Bros. 3 is dated, and I can plow through that game and enjoy every second of it still.
Yeah, but you got to remember, we're older. We grew up with the NES, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. People younger than us that grew up with Nintendo 64, you'll hear them talk about it the way we talk about the Super Nintendo.
Dude, I've got students that
Grew up with like the Wii.
their like childhood like baby system was like GameCube or PS2.
Dude,
Yeah, I have definitely heard people talk about like Phantom Menace the same way people my age talk about the original Star Wars trilogy, and it's wild.
Right,
I have
exactly.
a buddy of mine. His son's name is Dalton. Actually, at the time, this was 5 or 6 years ago. He was like 7, 8. This might even been longer than that now. It might have been 8 or it doesn't matter when it was, but he was like 6, 7, 8, playing Dark Souls.
Damn.
Like
Wow.
that kid was playing PS3 shit. Like to the point that Joey got tired of reading things to him, so he told him, "Nah, man, you need to learn how to read if you want to keep playing video games." So the kid learned how to read so he could keep playing video games
Wow.
Hey,
because he liked RPGs.
I have genuinely heard people my age say that they learned how to read by playing like Dragon Quest 1 or Final Fantasy. So like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I
glad
think
that's still a generational thing.
some of my reading comprehension, I think, came from me loving Phantasy Star, even though I didn't really know what was going on, but I had to be able to read it, even just generally, maybe not know what they're talking about, but get the idea. Oh, excuse me, type thing.
Right now, my son and I are playing Bluey the video game. So his
I
first
thought about
video
buying that for
game
Daphne.
is Bluey the video game. And is he going to have nostalgia for it? Maybe. I don't think he will. I think by the time he's old enough to remember, he'll have a hand-me-down Switch from me, and he'll be playing the Marios and hopefully the Zeldas and the like.
Yep.
You sound like an old person. The Marios and the Zeldas.
I am the oldest person on this podcast, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We got Mario and Zelda on my Sega tapes, you know.
Sega tapes.
Put them on your PlayStation.
It's a game station. Your Nintendo station thing. Yeah. So Woodley, what about you, man? What you been up to?
Well, I wanted to talk about this in the last podcast, but I've been really getting into retro achievements lately. Like, really hard. And the game that I really just absolutely fell head over heels for was Marble Madness for the NES. I was trying to get my first 100,000 point score, and not only did I do that, but I got like 133,000. I'm like, you know what? Now I'm in the top 10. I'm going to keep trying to push through the top 10. So I got even further on that. And then I was like, well, what other Marble Madness games do they have? So I played the Game Boy one, and I mastered that according to retro achievements. Then I played the Sega Genesis one, and I think I very briefly streamed it. And Nate, you could agree, it is kind of annoying.
Yeah, the music
The one that I
in
popped
is
in-
bad.
The one that I popped in and you were streaming and I lurked while you were doing it, the graphics looked not the greatest. Like, it looked like it was kind of hard to see almost, at least to my eyes. So more power to you for being able to power through that.
Are you?
But I'm still trying to get my first death up gun.
I was gonna say, are you playing these on the Pow Kitty thing?
The Pow Kitty is actually what first got me into Marble Madness. When we had that power outage, I found that game and just started playing the shit out of it. And I think I mentioned that the last episode we were both on.
Right.
But no, I've been playing it on my computer on Retrogue. I've even streamed some of it lately. So
Gotcha.
like, because I'm slightly more comfortable with a Xbox controller D-pad, and it's all about D-pad comfort in that game because it's almost entirely D-pad.
Well, if you ever decide you want to like play and try and get some retro achievements in bed, that Pow Kitty thing can connect to the internet, and you can log in with your retro achievements account.
Oh yeah, no, I have hooked it up to retro achievements already. Actually,
perfect. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, you brought the handheld guy in the podcast.
Like,
he's got to talk handhelds a little bit.
No, absolutely, and it's been really cool to have that on me because like I was actually using that when the power outage happened. I was playing WarioWare on it, and then like when the power came back, I'm like, damn, I kind of wish I had achievements for all the shit I did on WarioWare, but because our power went out, we didn't have the Wi-Fi, so
I wish there was a way to download those.
Yeah, just like a retroactive type of thing, like an offline mode for retro achievements. That would be cool.
Like I have,
but like even then, like
I don't
know. I'm just happy having the experience of the game.
That's true. I have a handheld specifically for retro achievements, just because it's the only handheld in my collection that has a SIM card slot. Nice. So I know I could take that somewhere and be like, "Oh, I want to go through this game with retro achievements. I'll do that."
So, quick question for y'all. Not to tarry it off more, but like,
sorry.
So the other night, no, you're fine. I'm not worried about it at all. The other night I had my little retro handheld that you gave me. I can't remember the name of it. Little Game Boy looking thing.
You got the 35XX, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that thing, the 35XX.
Yeah.
The sequel to 25XX on Steam.
Way
anyway.
better than the 32X. I'll give you that.
But I loaded up WarioWare for the Game Boy Advance because I was like, let me see.
No shit. Hell yeah, that's the one I was playing too. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance one.
Okay, well then maybe you can explain to me. What the fuck is the appeal of that game? Because everything that happened, it was like 3 seconds. You hit one button, game over, next game. 3 seconds, one button, hit the game over, next game. I was like, this is like, I have ADHD and this is too much for me.
It gets more intense as you play. Like, once you've gotten a little bit further in, it, like, cycles that shit really quickly and makes you just adjust to things as fast as possible. So it's like, you have to read the scene and figure out what it wants you to do in, like, 1 second, basically.
There is some mild plot development, too, and actually some of the characters, Wario included, are kind of endearing. Like,
yeah, I guess I didn't play it enough to get any plot or anything like that. I was just like, what is going on? And then I ended up going and playing something else.
I remember that
I
first.
like the cat with the afro. That guy was cool.
That guy's cool, and so is the guy with the Zelda and the Mario
Jimmy?
games.
I think his name was Jimmy.
Yeah, you know, they all have their little plots, and they're all told through just stop motion scenes, like almost like comic book panels. And I don't know, it's just you end up enjoying the character development through the micro games, and it's weird because every character has their own different genre of micro game. I don't know. It was just it was just a good pickup game for me back in the college days.
maybe I'll give it another try. It was just, I was tired and I was laying in bed trying to find something to play just before going to sleep, and it was not doing it for me.
It is a bad game to play before going to sleep. It's a good game to play if you just got nothing else going on.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, Willie?
I just wanted to say I'm 9th place now on Retro Achievements for NES Marble Madness, and I'm going to get my first Deathless run soon. I'm probably going to stream a bunch of attempts now that I haven't been playing, or now that I'm not going to be playing Ys for 10 hours a day like I've been doing for the last 4 days.
Fair enough, dude. I hope to see you hit that number 1 spot one day. That'd be cool. What about you, Nate? What you been up to?
I'm not even aiming for number 1. I just want to score up.
Yeah. Willie's just trying to relive my old days of speed running NES games. But
the glory days.
Yeah. But it's been a pretty chill couple weeks for me. So the biggest thing I've really done lately is I've messed with Dale's cage some. It was about time to give it another thorough cleaning. So I cleaned that all the way out and just rearranged things in there. I think I must have done a better job this time around because he's been really moving around a lot in there lately, finding different places to sleep. But my favorite thing that he's done since I've reorganized his cage is I've came in here one day, middle of the day, sleeping, and he was in a position I had never seen a gecko in before. He was literally just hanging upside down with just his hind legs and his tail on the branch and his little arms folded across his chest like a vampire bat. It was just the funniest, most adorable thing I've ever seen him do. And there's the picture of it in our chat. I'll add this to the pets thing too. But it was just like, man, I'm really glad that we made that decision to get this little lizard because he's brought a lot of joy into my life. He's just funny. I enjoy having him a lot.
Chill.
Yeah. Chillest, easiest to take care of pet ever, I swear to God.
He looks like he's hanging there contemplating life, just chilling. Just like, what do I want to eat for dinner? Do I want to fly? Do I want a cricket? Maybe I'll have the
he
salad.
ain't contemplating a goddamn thing.
That one brain cell is not even working.
That dude, yeah, exactly. That one brain cell is on screensaver right now.
Well, maybe he's hoping if the blood rushes to his head that it'll give him more thoughts. I don't know.
It's just, his brain right now is just that bouncing DVD like screensaver in the old DVD players that like never quite hit the corner.
Yep.
I literally made that same reference at one point. I was so glad you said the exact same thing. When the screensaver DVD logo hits a corner, he will experience a thought. Yeah. And it hasn't happened yet.
No, he will experience true wisdom at that point.
I always love the clip that someone's taking where everyone's in the bar and they're watching a sports game and like someone scores and everyone flips out, but they edit it to the screen. It's just the DVD player thing going and it goes and hits the corner and the whole crowd's like, ah! And the beer goes everywhere. Yeah. It's awesome.
That was a skit in The Office too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except it was like a staff meeting.
They were all just watching the screen behind the guy giving them speech instead of paying attention to the meeting, yeah?
Yeah.
But it has to go, since we talked about Dale so much, I just have to say, raise hell, praise Dale.
Raise hell, praise Dale.
Raise hell, praise Dale.
That'll about cover it for me. I just wanted to talk about my cute little lizard.
I love that little fool, man. Never stop talking about him.
So I've been dipping my toe in a few different things. I was scrolling through my games and I saw Donut County. And I was like, oh yeah, I started that game. I wonder how far I got into it. And I loaded it up and 20 minutes later, I beat it. So I was like, oh, I got pretty far into that game. I guess it's not that long because I started it over and played through the entirety of it again in 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And I was like, dude, you know what? I'm going to get all the achievements for this game. I ended up having to look up a couple because there was like one achievement in particular that you would never just figure out unless you just accidentally did it. You know what I mean? But what a fun, silly little game Donut County is. Like, it's not super expensive that I remember. No. It's an indie game.
That game on Steam regularly is $12.99. Right now you can get it for $3.89 during the summer sale. And I have this game as well because I was wanting a little stupid, cute game to play. So I had this for the Switch, beat it about a year ago. And so, I know exactly what you're talking about when you talk about this game.
Wait. And it's funny because I tagged you in it.
It's by Annapurna, who are a pretty well-known indie development company that make a lot of narrative games, right?
Yep. Annapurna Interactive. Yeah, they do a lot of stuff.
I think they might have been the Gone Home people, even.
I think Gone Home was their first game that they produced. Yeah, I think because they're production.
So wait, it's summer sale time?
Yes.
Oh, on Steam and GOG, son.
Yep.
Rest in peace, my golf score.
I just got mine down to +0. Luckily, I don't have a job right now, so I can't afford a ton of stuff.
Luckily for me, I just don't want much
up.
I just don't want much right now because like I have so many games that are already in my library that I'm actually wanting to play that I'm just not finding time for. I'm like, and there's nothing that's really screaming my name during the sales this year. I'm like, oh my gosh, have I grown as a human being? I don't need to buy everything on sale right now.
You might get out unscathed. But yeah, I can't recommend Donut County enough for just a short little fun game. Like I said, I liked it enough that I went and got 100% on it and got -2 in golf. Backlog Golf, which is you can check it out in our Discord, bit.ly/TSMP Discord.
Yeah.
All capital letters.
And I will 100% second his opinion on that. It was a cute little game. It was real easy to sit down and play through in one sitting. I do recommend getting it on sale because like it is a very short game, but like it's worth the time. And it's quite funny. Like it's not gonna like make you piss your pants laugh, but it's gonna give you chuckles throughout the whole thing. BK as a character, the raccoon, is just, I love him. Yeah, like if anything, like the writing in it kind of reminds me of games like A Short Hike and things like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I get that vibe. And I think A Short Hike might have been Annapurna as well. So
I honestly don't remember.
I could be wrong. But yeah, I've been
Short Hike was great. I loved writing in that. So yeah, that's a very good sales pitch to me.
I've also been dabbling in. I started Mass Effect, the first one, because I know that is on our list of things that we're going to play eventually, and I really want to get a head start on it because I know that can be a long game. But unfortunately, playing Mass Effect really made me want to play Dragon Age. So I installed Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition on Steam, as I always do. I went and installed the same mods that I always use and tried to load it up, and it would infinite load screen. Like, all right. So I verified the files. I uninstalled all the mods, took all that off, uninstalled the game, cleaned it, tried to reinstalled it, tried to do it again on Steam, and it didn't work again. I'm like, what is going on? Dude, I looked it up and there was all kinds of fixes and all kinds of shit on the internet. And I'm like, man, well, fuck. So I go on GOG and I'm looking through the GOG summer sale and I see Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition to like $2 and something. I was like, all right, I'll buy the GOG version. If it doesn't work, I'll refund it. So I bought the GOG version, loaded it up, started a game, ran fucking fine. Out the box, perfect. Installed all my mods. Dude. Installed all my mods, awesome. Ran fine. I'm like, so that's why I posted in the Steam Machine, our show chat. I said -2 for Steam for old games, Fallout 3, and now Dragon Age Origins. Which leads me to a rant, gentlemen. And then we can move on to the game because I don't have too much to say.
Fallout 3 was exactly as bad, but now we have it working because you got the GOG version and it's.
So I have 2 gripes with Steam at the moment, and I don't know if it's necessarily Steam's fault. I think it's the actual company's fault for the games, right? Dragon Age 2 is now available on Steam as Dragon Age 2 Ultimate Edition. I have Dragon Age 2 Standard Edition. The only thing available now on Steam is Dragon Age 2 Ultimate Edition. They do not offer the DLC separately anymore. So I would have to buy the Ultimate Edition. Here's the thing. When I put Dragon Age Ultimate Edition, Dragon Age 2 Ultimate Edition in my cart, it tells me, hey, you already own this game, so you're not going to get another copy of it if you buy this. So it's on sale right now for $2.99, but do I chance the $3 to buy it and it not give me the DLC because I already own the standard version of the game? I will gladly pay $2.99 if it gives me the DLC and I just don't get a copy of the game. That's fine. Yeah. That wouldn't bother me. So I'm like, man, Steam's going to get mad at me because I just refunded something the other day. I might have got Dragon Quest Builders 2 and then, refunded it and pirated it when I realized the multiplayer isn't very good. Because the only reason I bought it legitimately was like, oh, this might be fun to play with Nate and Willie. And then it looked up and they're like, well, multiplayer is basically just like you can visit your friends' islands and look at their stuff, but you can't really do much together. I'm like, oh, well, that's fucking dumb.
Yep.
I'm not looking for Animal Crossing. I'm looking for Minecraft together. But anyway, so that bothers me about Dragon Age because now I'm very up in the air about if I'm going to be able to play the DLC stuff that I had like I did on PS3 back in the day when I played Dragon Age 2. Because I like Hawk as a character. I'd like to play through that again. My second gripe is the Hitman series. Okay? not the old games, the new ones, Hitman 1, 2, and 3, the reboot. They have renamed Hitman 3. It's now Hitman World of Assassination. They combined Hitman's 1, 2, and 3 all into one game. So if you buy it now, it's $79.99 and you get 1, 2, and 3. Or you can buy like the $20 edition and you just get Hitman 1. Or you can be like me, who owned Hitman 1, Hitman 2, and Hitman 3. And when they combined them all, they gave you a window of time to go on a website and connect your account to prove that you own Hitman 2, and it'll give you all the Hitman 2 DLC and all that stuff, right? I missed that window of time. So now when I play Hitman 3, I can play Hitman 1, I can play Hitman 3. But if I want to play Hitman 2, I have to install Hitman 2, or I can go on the internet and find a link that takes me to the place to buy the thing for Hitman 2 because it's not openly available anymore on Steam. You can only buy the Hitman 2 DLC upgrade, which is just the DLC stuff from Hitman 2. Tell me how any of this fucking makes sense. It doesn't. IO Interactive is out of their fucking minds, right?
That's insane.
Like, for y'all, it would be easy.
Yeah,
you could go in, buy Hitman now, and you get all the shit. Like, that's easy. But for me, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
so...
But that's worse because you're an early adopter. I feel like you deserve, like, the good shit, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you were there.
Like, I almost wonder if I could email them and be like, hey, I missed this opportunity, but I don't have access to buy this anymore. Is there any way that I can, like, here, I can prove I own Hitman 2. I own the DLC for Hitman 2. That's just my rant. I'm just like, I love the Hitman games. But the other day, I was so turned off when I figured all that out, I just uninstalled it.
I don't blame you. That's really frustrating. It's just like when things are connected to online stores that you don't need anymore. Like when we were playing freaking Blood Dragon, and every time you wanted to pause the game, it took 10 minutes because it had to go through the Ubisoft Connect that it doesn't work with.
Or the Fallout 3 thing where it has the Windows Live.
Yep.
And it's like, that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, at all. And it's like, it tries to connect to that, and that's what fucks it up. And then... I had another example.
It's an absolute disease that these games have these built in. Like, they use as a backbone something they don't even need. Because, again, we were able to play Blood Dragon once it figured out it couldn't connect.
So the other night...
It's bullshit.
I had a hankering, and you guys know this is rare for me, I had a hankering to play Zombies, Call of Duty Zombies. So I acquired Black Ops 1 and was like, I'll go back and play the original Zombies that I knew back in the day. So I load up the game, and it tells me I can't play Zombies because the game can't connect to the internet. And I'm thinking to myself,
why do you need to connect to the internet?
I never played this on the internet back in the day. Like, yeah, it had internet capabilities, but I never played it on internet. It was always LAN with my buddies. I just wanted to go in and play solo Zombies. But I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm complaining about a pirated copy. Oh, boo-hoo, woe is me. But like, I'm just like, why does it need to be on the internet to play Zombies? I could play the campaign perfectly fine. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Don't feel bad.
Games that require...
And from a game preservation perspective, I find this really worrying.
Yeah.
Like, there's games from this time period that are just going to be completely fucking unusable like 5 to 15 years ago because the online store that they were built into went down because, I don't know, it really rubs me wrong.
Well, that, and think about games that come out on discs that have a day one patch, or it might be like, oh, this is I'll just say Lego Marvel Superheroes as an example. It's the game that came to my head, 1, 2, and 3. The disc might have 1 and 2, but you have to download 3. Well, it's like, eventually, congratulations, you don't have access to 3 anymore.
Oh, God, that's terrible. Like, the Switch version of the Borderlands collection, you only get Borderlands 1 on the actual cart, and you have to download 2 and 3.
I think this is a terrible business decision because, like I said, because we're seeing it happen now with the Wii U servers, everything starting to fall down. Like, you literally can't play Splatoon anymore, for instance, because that was a solely online multiplayer game that no longer has servers to play it on. So that's a game that's going to be completely lost to history.
They are trying to actually figure that out. I think I don't know why I'm saying I think a bunch of like devs and preservationists actually got together to actually create some kind of like proxy Nintendo network so you can go online with those games again. You just have to, like, do something.
How many people are going to be able to do that, though? How many people know how to do that?
That's the problem.
Like, they brought up the Wii U, and that's exactly the example I was going to bring up. Is, like, say you went to a store and bought Mario Maker 1 today. What can you do with that
Make
now?
levels and play them for yourself because the servers just got disconnected like 2 months ago.
And this is why I don't complain about emulation. Because a lot of games cannot be played unless you emulate them. Like, the hardware is gone, the online services are gone. Like, in order to be able to play Splatoon 1 online, you may have to go into Cemu and do something where you connect with other people by IP address or something, like back in the day with PSP, when we used that X-Link Kai to play Monster Hunter, because that was not an online game.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
there's ways to do it, but not a lot of people are going to do it.
Yeah.
And then now Nintendo is going full warpath, and any way to get these games is just starting to disappear. Like Vim.net, like, come on, we've all used it. Now
That's my go-to for Sony stuff.
Sony, Nintendo, and I even think Sega, just finally after, like, I want to say like 2 decades, finally goes after Vim and is just like, you got to take this stuff down. So now you go to get, like, a Super Mario game. It says this has been taken down at the request of Nintendo. You go to get.
It's the same thing that happened to EMU Paradise.
Yeah, but
That was was my go-to back in the day, and now you can't find shit on that site.
Right.
But Vim.net was never about piracy. It was always about preservation. And now he got hit, and now it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's so many rare old NES games that they don't want to have the ROMs out there for. I'm one of the rare people that owns an NES these days. Like, it's not like everybody still has their NES from when they grew up. B, my collection is large, but there are games that I don't have that are super rare and sell for $10,000, like, crap, the name just left me. But
Stadium Events.
No, not even that one.
No, the one where you play as the little kid.
Yeah. What? Yeah, you're right, Dalton.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it, but I know the game you're talking about.
And there's just so many games like that that are going to be completely lost to history if we don't preserve them on ROMs. Because, like, most people are like me. I'm a collector. I used to play them a lot, but I haven't played my NES games in like a year at this point. But I still have all of them. But no one else is going to be able to play my copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, which is a game that sells for about over $200. And people aren't going to be able to afford that and an NES just to play that game.
And it's even nastier for, like, microcomputer games, because, like, people don't have 5 1/4 inch floppy drives. They aren't going to be able to pull them off, and the bit rot is already set in, you know? Like, a lot of the actual legal copies of those games no longer work, you know? So, like, we need to hope that people uploaded the cracked versions of those games, or they're just lost forever. All those Commodore 64, all those Atari, all those Amiga, all those ZX Spectrum, all those Apple II games.
Quickly, Nate, Little Samson.
Little Samson, thank you. That's the exact one I was thinking of.
Have you guys ever heard of the Pokemon Mini?
No.
Yeah, I remember the little, like, Tamagotchi almost looking thing.
Yeah. That thing...
Oh!
I had one. I had to go to New York to get it, because it was only available in Pokemon Center, which is now the Nintendo store. But I had one. I sold it back in the day, along with so many other prized possessions, because I needed to pay bills. But that's gone. And that's worth a lot of money now. And the only way to really play those games is through emulation.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
who the heck is going to have a Pokemon Mini sitting in their basement that they're not going to want to sell for thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
I feel the same way about sites like My Abandonware.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? All these old PC games that you can't get anymore, they have them on there. Or licensed games. They have, like, there was a fucking Deadpool game that came out for PS3 and was out for like a year or two and then got taken off the store because of licensing issues. Then they re-released it for PS4 and it got taken down for licensing issues. So, like, that game's been released and taken down twice over licensing. So it's like, games like that, you can find them on Abandonware because they are Abandonware. They cannot be sold anywhere. And the thing I like about My Abandonware is if the game is available somewhere to buy, they will give you a link to where to go buy it. Like if it's on GOG.
Right, because there's a game that I got from My Abandonware because I've always wanted to play it, but I never had a GameCube, and I'm pretty sure it was GameCube exclusive, and it's never been released for PC. It was released for PC back in the day, but it's not been available since like 2004, which was Sonic Heroes.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's abandonware now?
That is abandonware.
Like, you can't get that anywhere?
Nope, you can...
There's a bunch of Sonic games that are abandonware, actually.
You can go right down to my abandonware and download Sonic Heroes, because that's where I got it from.
Wow. I didn't know that was abandoned. I had that game at one point. Decent game.
There's a literal gold mine on that site of RPGs and then like old games you wouldn't think of, but it's just they're not available anywhere. But they were released on PC, so they're on that site.
I gotta find an old Star Trek Next Generation game that was out on MS-DOS. That's definitely abandonware at this point.
What's it called?
Star Trek Next Generation of Final Unity. I bet you it's on there.
I'd say there's a pretty good chance.
That wasn't the one I thought you were going to say.
What did you think I was gonna say?
I thought you were misremembering and you were talking about the Star Trek 30th anniversary game.
Star Trek Next Generation.
No.
But,
a Final Unity?
But that was an original series, not a...
1995 or Dawson
But
Mac?
I remember they brought back Leonard Nimoy to do...
I love Leonard Nimoy, dude.
I just watched the Star Trek...
They brought like Leonard Nimoy to do the voices for the game I was talking about, and like...
Well,
it was an adventure game, a point-and-click one, but it was crazy.
They brought in Leonard Nimoy like a couple years before he died to do Star Trek Online. I really need to play more Star Trek Online. That game has gotten so bad, though.
He also was he was the narrator in, I think, Civilization 5, and he was awesome in that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, so I didn't mean to get us off on a tangent. It's just like that's just some shit that's been bugging me.
This show's all tangents, baby.
It's a good conversation. Like, I think it was worth talking about.
Yeah, I mean, just like specifically the Hitman developers, IO Interactive, fix your shit. Dragon Age, that is what it is. It's an old game getting re-released. I can deal with that, but just cannibalizing games into one and then not making stuff available for people who already own it, suck a bag of dicks. Although I will continue to play Hitman. I do like the Hitman. I'm always
willing to go down the Dragon Hole.
Dragon Hole.
I don't even know where Dragon Hole came from. You said Dragon Age and it just warped in my head. But I'm always willing to go down the hole of talking about like fucking game preservation, because I think it's very important that like video games be preserved, and we do not necessarily have the technology right now to preserve everything.
Yeah.
Oh, and there you go. Nate just sent you the link straight to the game. Now, you do have to know how to set up DOSBox. That is one thing I will tell you with those old DOS games, is that you have to set up DOSBox. But you're old enough to remember how to do that, right?
Nope.
I was so bad at DOS.
Well, the first thing you need to know is
if only
DOSBox
somebody
is German for the box.
If only somebody who specializes in old retro games could do a video on this.
Right? How to get it running on your Steam Deck?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if I get it running on the Steam Deck because you need a Windows... Well, maybe.
You never know. I'm just saying, like, my abandonware could open up a whole new world of content for you, being like, this is how you get these old games to run on this handheld.
And because it's abandonware, I can, mention it without needing to worry about getting attacked by ninjas.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Anyway, we played a game.
See, you being on the show benefits. We did play a game. And we played a game called Ys VIII, Lacrimosa of Dana. And I do have a couple interesting things today to go along with the ODubs, but we're going to start with the ODubs, the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. Ys VIII, Lacrimosa of Dana is a 2016 action role-playing game developed by Nihon Falcom and published by I don't know where I got that from. Published by NIS America. A part of the Ys series, it was first released in Japan by Falcom for the PlayStation Vita in July 2016, and was later released worldwide for PlayStation 4, Windows, Nintendo Switch, Amazon Luna, Stadia, and PS5. 2 of those do not exist anymore, as far as I know.
I always laugh when I hear anything about Luna or Stadia. It's just such a weird point in history that I think everybody who played video games knew was not going to work.
Wait, is Luna gone too?
I think Luna's still around. It's just not as popular. Stadia's gone. But I will say that I have heard nothing but good things about both those systems controllers. That the Luna system controller and the Stadia controllers were really nice.
Oh, they're great.
It's a shame that the rest of it apparently sucks.
Some of the best controllers. Like, actually, thank God that they released a Bluetooth unlock for the Stadia controller so that you could still use it after Stadia went down, because that is a beautiful controller. I love that thing.
Yeah, Eric from Factory Sealed still uses it to this day on his computer.
Yeah, I love that controller. The Luna controller is great too, but I don't love it as much as
I genuinely know
Stadia.
zero things about Luna.
I didn't realize this came out for PlayStation 5. That's pretty cool. An abridged version of Ys VIII for Android and iOS, Ys VIII Mobile, is scheduled for release. I don't know if that's ever actually going to come out. Probably a Japanese only thing if so.
Yeah.
Ys VIII has sold over 500,000 copies by the end of 2018, and the game was followed up by Ys IX Monstrum Nox in 2019. Now, there's a couple things that I wanted to touch on here. And it's mainly that the differences in the versions. The original version for Vita was lacking a few things that we got in the versions that we played. Here was what all was added for the PS4 and Switch versions, which were the ones that came out before it was released for PC and all that. It was Vita, then PS4 and Switch, and then it went on to other stuff. Beast hunts, the ones that weren't raids, but the hunts themselves, those were added after the Vita version. The dungeon in Donna's era, where you're going through and you would do something and it would unlock the next section of a door, that was added.
Oh,
yeah, that is a big plot point. Like that adds a lot of plot. That was added after the Vita version to help expand Dana's lore. Donna can change into 3 forms in combat in her era that aren't available in the present. That was not available in the Vita version.
Oh, okay.
A post-game dungeon, which is the dungeon from Donna's era that can be traversed in the present.
Interesting.
I didn't know that existed. Damn it! Now I got to install the game again, Bobby.
I think that's probably the Silent Tower, I think.
The Silent Tower is a lot of verticality going up, right?
Actually, that Silent Tower you were going down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, then maybe I'm thinking of it. I'm thinking about there was like a wind tower tunnel thing that you had to go way up to get an item for something. I don't remember what it was though.
But the Silent Tower ended on like a level 80 boss, so I felt like that one was intended to be like a post-game thing.
That's very possible, and I just missed it somehow. A new Infinity Mode difficulty for New Game Plus, which I'm not really sure what that is. I should have looked into that.
Is that like even harder than like Nightmare and Inferno?
I would assume so, yeah. Maybe it's just like the raids are constant. I don't know. And then the ability to choose the amount of active party members for exploration and combat New Game Plus. Basically, you can solo as Adol, like in older Ys games.
Okay.
Another question comment. I'm just going to read this.
New Game Plus.
Yeah, I'm just going to read this little section from this Reddit thing and then move on to my other point. Another question that is normally asked is why would someone get the Switch version over the Vita version? The Switch version has everything in the PS4 port, including some of the cosmetics that were purchasable DLC on the PS4 preloaded onto the game. So the Switch version comes with DLC right away, which I believe the PC version does as well. And does the Switch version play good? And Nate can attest to this, as can I. This says, from what I hear, the Switch owners have no issues with the game while docked. In handheld mode, however, it might vary, but it is capped at 30 frames per second. Yeah,
and honestly, for a game like this, I think 30 frames per second is fine. And I'll address it a little bit later when we talk about the rest of the episode. I did encounter a couple issues while playing on Switch, but nothing that set me back in a way that made me want to stop playing. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I played on the Switch too, and there might have been 1 or 2 hiccups, but for the most part...
Whoa, you have a Switch too?
I'm blinking. I'm looking at you, and I'm blinking rapidly.
Everyone looked at me so disapprovingly.
Except Dalton, he laughed.
He laughed.
Thank you, Dalton. I'm glad someone likes my stupid sense of humor.
I was trying to find it on my shelf. I can't seem to find it. I have the physical version for Switch,
oh, nice.
And I was just going to show you guys all the stuff that comes with it, because it was one of the few games that I bought, and when I opened it up, it had things in it. And I was like, what is this? I haven't seen this in years. Oh, boom. There you go. Did yours have all the stuff?
Mine has none of the stuff.
Oh.
What?
I'm glad I didn't get the physical version then.
This is the European version, apparently.
Dude, that is so weird, because when I bought Dragon Quest XI, I also got the European version.
Yeah, I don't know. I got it on Amazon because I knew I was going away, and I didn't want to get I didn't want to bring something like a Steam Deck or whatever. I wanted to bring something like small and portable, so I ended up bringing a Switch Lite. And so that's why I grabbed this, because I didn't want to deal with, I don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
See, I pop it open. It's got some trading cards.
Portrait of Adol.
I got Adol trading card.
Okay, that's cool.
A Donna trading
that's
card.
really cool.
And a Doji trading card. A nice little warranty thing. And a map of the
That's
island.
really cool.
Okay, that's
I
really
play
cool.
Little Pero face down in attack mode.
Like, yeah, here, let me open this up real quick because I believe it's a poster on the side. Yeah.
Attack mode!
So-
Attack mode!
You got your map.
That's awesome.
And then on the other side,
Donna.
it's the poster of Donna, which that would be a sweet tattoo.
That actually would. That would be pretty cool.
That would be a pretty fucking sweet tattoo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's why I was very surprised because like these cards came in a little foil pack. You know what I mean? And it was like I had to open it and see what I got. And yeah, I'm just maybe I got a deluxe edition and didn't realize it, but I see that yours also has the
Reversible cover?
reversible cover.
No,
And
look at the cover too. Like it's a little spoilery, and it's a good thing it's an audio podcast. But look at the front cover, and then look at the back cover.
A little bit.
oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now that is the reversible though, so like that's
Yeah.
normally on the inside, but still, yeah, it's absolutely like, oh, well, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe I wasn't supposed to reverse the cover before playing the game, but I figured out this plot point pretty early
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's so yeah, that was just the only other thing I had about it is when this game first came out for the Vita in America, it had a notoriously bad translation that they went back and they fixed for the concurrent releases after that. And then I believe that the second translation that they did for the PS4 version was also not great, and they ended up releasing an update with another translation. That is
That's
finally
because I was actually thinking I really enjoyed the localization of this game. Like, I thought they did a great job bringing out character voices and stuff.
well, we got the third iteration in the versions that we played.
Okay.
I liked the voice acting in this game.
Was there
The voice acting especially.
Was there voice acting in the original?
In the Vita,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I can Google that real quick.
Yeah. I'm just not anything we need to dwell on now. I'm just a curiosity.
So I had experience with this game before, so I'll save my first impressions and stuff. But so I'm curious about you boys. I'll go reverse to the way we went on Patreon. So Nate, what was your first impressions of getting into Ys VIII, my good sir?
Yeah, so Ys VIII, like, when you first get into the game, like, the first thing that happens to you is you're put on a ship, and you're just doing kind of menial tasks on the ship because you're kind of getting passage by doing a little bit of work, and you're reporting to the Captain Barbaros the whole time. And my initial impact of feeling this whole beginning sequence was like, man, this genuinely feels like a Tales of game in a 3D space with a more action-adventure style control scheme. I was like, I really like the
Tales or Trails?
Sorry. Well, Trails is a Tales game. No.
Trails is a Legend of
No.
Heroes.
Oh, you're
game.
right. I do mean Trails. My bad.
It's okay. I confuse Trails and Tales all the time, so don't feel too
Yeah,
bad.
so
I just wanted... I was not trying to...
I got
hip
confused.
check you. I just wanted to make
It's
sure.
easy to confuse all
Well,
these.
when you're following somebody's trail, you're typically tailing them. So,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It makes complete
So
sense.
my initial thoughts on it were like, I feel like I'm in a 3D Trails type game. Like everything, like the way the game was written originally, because like it does the same stupid thing that Trails does, where the names are just slightly different. Like instead of Greece, it's Greek. And then you meet a guy on the ship named Cathew. It's just like...
I'm still not
Africa.
fucking over
I'm
Cathew.
never getting over Cathew as a name. But
I believe it's
Yeah, as he said,
Ys-
Africa. Africa's one
I
of the
think
continents
Ys
of the world.
I takes place in Africa.
okay. But like I said, I got a really good taste in my mouth because it felt like weirdly nostalgic for me, like which Trails did too. And these aren't games that I played growing up, but I get a weird sense of nostalgia when I play them. So like that was my initial first impression, but I think the real first impression that counts is the one where you finally get out of that prologue section and into the beginning of chapter 1. So yeah, so you end up shipwrecked. That's the whole premise of the story, right? You're shipwrecked on this island, and Adol comes to on a beach. And the minute you come to, this rockin' ass overworld theme comes on, and you start running through this island, basically fighting wolves and stuff. And I was like, oh man, this feels awesome. Like, because like I have mixed feelings about action RPGs in general. Because like I liked Kingdom Hearts. I hated the way Kingdom Hearts kind of handled combat. The immediate reaction to this when I started fighting anything was like, oh, this feels fluid and good. So, very positive first impressions for me, because the music was banging. I like the character designs. It feels very nostalgic and homey, and it felt right.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts is a very weird action RPG meets menu system, combat. And this is just straight up mash your attack button, do damage. It's wonderful. What about you, Willie? What was your first impression?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Being that we had just played the Trails games for this podcast, I was so stoked to hear some more Falcom music, because you had sent me a couple of, random Ys tracks divorced of any context. I've got to say, the exact same thing happened for me and Nate, where the moment I was hearing Sunshine Coast as I was blasting through monsters, I was like, yep, this is my shit.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Mikhailov?
I mean, my impressions are very similar to the boys here. I knew that the music was going to be banger because I played a couple of Ys games in the past and the music was always banger. The gameplay loop, very feel good. It's just fluid. And when I first booted up this game and I first got past the prologue and I started getting into Chapter 1 where I was actually killing monsters and gathering materials, that was my first impression. This is a feel-good gameplay loop. I think this is going to be a feel-good game where you're just going to hack and slash your way to victory and everything's going to turn out okay, and it's going to be a great little adventure with no emotional issues. Was I correct? Stay tuned.
There you go.
I also love that two of you already used the word fluid, and I have to say that's definitely the case. Map navigation to combat was just immediately, so smooth. I love it.
It is just like the ocean under the moon. It's the
same as the emotion that I get from you. You got a kind of love and I can be so smooth. Yeah, great fucking song.
Carlos Santana featuring some moms.
Oh, let's forget about it.
Yes, let's please forget about it.
Oh, man. I fucking love that song.
Baby.
It is a good song.
Guitar maestro
It is
Carlos Santana is, dude. That guy just knows how to play guitar. Goddamn.
I don't want to get off on...
I mean, I feel like Rob Thomas carries really hard.
Yeah, Rob Thomas is...
Oh, yeah.
He pipes,
both of them hold their weight.
I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but man, wasn't being a teenager in the 90s one of the best things ever?
I don't know, because I feel like from 1998 to 2002, I felt like our country reached the nadir of culture it's ever been in. So much of everything sucked there.
Oh yeah, we totally peaked in the 90s, and Y2K
we allowed Creed to assemble peaceably for a time. That is a bad sign.
I don't know, like I said, we could get so tangenty on it, but the political landscape.
You sounded like you were about to defend Creed.
No, I'm not defending Creed. I'm just saying, the country was in an economic surplus. The pop culture was fresh and new. We were getting games like Chrono Trigger, and they were the best thing ever.
Yeah, the 90s were dope.
Okay, Grandpa.
Yeah, it was just a great time to be a teenager, and the 90s capped and ended with the first Pokemon games.
Can I tell you that I turned 13 in 2005?
That's the year I graduated high school.
Also, I will always defend Creed with arms wide open because they really just take me higher.
What if?
I graduated high school in 99, you bunch of children.
I graduated high school in 1762.
I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That song goes hard. That song in particular, What If?
What If is actually kind of dope.
It's not a bad song. They did some shit that's really cheesy.
Dope.
But What If goes hard.
It does.
And then the one they did...
What If was dope, and My Own Prison was actually a pretty good song for its time,
No, the one they did
I don't
for
think it aged
WWE.
well, but...
Young Grow Old.
Yeah.
I think that was...
So how about Ys?
Yeah. Ys...
So what's your first impression, homie?
My first impression. So, okay. going to take you back to the year, I think it was 2017 when this came out over here, right? I'm watching a YouTuber that I had just discovered named David Vink, who is a big JRPG YouTuber. If you don't know him, he is muscular, gay, and fabulous, and he's really into JRPGs. And I love him to death.
Can you give me his phone number?
I love him to death. Definitely check him out, dude. David, and then his last name is Vinc. David Vink. It's good stuff.
Look it up real quick.
He's a hunk of a man. I am open enough with my sexuality to admit that he is a handsome man. But he was talking about Ys VIII.
Oh, not bad.
And then
not bad, honestly. Sorry.
I told you.
Sorry.
He was talking about Ys VIII, and I'm like, well, that sounds interesting. So then I happened to flip on one of my favorite podcasts at the time, the JRPG Report, hosted by James, and he was talking about Ys VIII. And I'm like, man, that sounds really cool. So I went on the PlayStation Store when it came out, and I bought it for PS4. And I started playing it, and I'm like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So when I'm looking at Switch games, the Switch comes out, and I'm like, what do I want to get for Switch? What do I want to get physical? That was one of the games that was relatively priced at a decent price. So I had that, bought it, played through a lot of it on the Switch. Getting into the game itself, I'm like, all right, we're on a ship, moseying around, talking to people. All right, where's this going to go? Shipwreck. You end up on the island. You're like, what the fuck happened? What's going to go on now? Then it has been said by 2 to 3 people on this podcast that opening of Sunshine Coastline kicks in, and then that keyboard hits. The little arpeggio that the keyboard is doing, and then the drums just kick, and then it just starts going. And I was like, this is the ultimate song to tell you to be like, yo, you're on a fucking adventure now. Like, this is, dude, it is like one of the most perfect opening songs for starting an adventure, because that's exactly what they convey through the music. It's just like a sense of wonder. I don't know how to explain it. You can go on YouTube and just listen to it, though, and you'll see what I mean. Yeah. Sunshine Coastline. It's the one that I would always send to people. When we were talking about video game music, I'm like, listen, don't sleep on this. And I would send Sunshine Coastline. Like, dude, this is really good. And now I'm glad that you guys have the context of when that song kicks in and how epic it is to be like, oh shit, let's go. And then the fact that doesn't change for that area. You can always go back, and when you go into that area, man, you hear that start of that fucking song. And that's really what kept me in the beginning with this game, is the music. It really touched me as a musician, being like, Jesus Christ, this music is so good. You know, that's why when we went into playing the Trails games, I was like, fuck, this music's so good. It must be a Falcom thing, right? Yeah. Because even in Ys VII, the music wasn't like as good as 8, but it was still good. You know what I mean? Like, I would listen to it and jam it if, somebody put it on. So my first impressions were just the music was more so than anything. And then again, the gameplay being liquid, just smooth as butter. And
moist.
I really enjoyed it.
The gameplay was moist.
It's nice and moist. Like a piece of cake.
Lubricated.
So wet.
Just soppingly moist.
So we have no female followers, right? Because otherwise we've just lost like all 2 that we have.
Sorry, Steph.
Sorry, Steph. Sorry, Kana. Sorry. God damn it.
But yeah, so then I guess that just leaves the actual game. So like, we don't have to touch on everything because it's a long game. But are there things that jumped out to you guys that you want to talk about? I know I have one specifically, but that's not till towards the end of the conversation.
So I'll go ahead and just jump us off into this crazy game. So like, the thing that I really want to start off with is like, this game starts off very, very smooth, cool. You have a set of things you're supposed to be doing, and you go out to do it. What you're supposed to be doing, you're supposed to be going out, finding castaways, bringing them back to the castaway village that Captain Barbaros had started up for us, and you're supposed to keep bringing people back and back and back, and to build this up so we can find a way to get off this island. During the whole time, you start bringing more and more people back, right? And then suddenly you realize there's a serial killer in the camp who's leaving traps and notes and saying things, and you're just like, there's this whole mystery going on. It's like, are we with the serial killer? Is he living here? Or is he living just outside of the thing trying to kill you? And you have no idea who it is. Like, I had my thoughts on who I thought it would be. one of my suppositions was correct, but just
I had it down to 2 people, and
it was just like, but like I thought that was going to be the craziest thing that happened on this island the whole time, was that there was a serial killer there. The game proceeds just to keep getting more and more buck wild as you go along. Like, that's when I really got... So, like, I started off kind of slow. Like, I started off, played this game of, like maybe 10 hours over the course of a couple weeks. And then, once that serial killer bit started hitting, and it hit hard, I was all in and started playing this game, like, nonstop. Like, and I think that comes to be true for a lot of these... Neon Falcom games we played. You start off, everything's chill, you're just trying to do normal stuff, and then all this crazy shit just starts falling down and dragging you deeper and deeper and deeper into the plot. And the way this game handled that was magnificent.
I want to say, like, I almost liken that to Final Fantasy VI type plot, where you're in the world of balance and you're trying to go this direction. And the game is steering you in a very specific direction, and you think that that's where it's going to end and where it's going to go. And then they don't even throw a wrench. They throw a freaking jackhammer into what you think is happening. Like, I was enjoying that. I mean, I'm still enjoying the heck out of the game, but I was enjoying the heck out of Chapter 2. I really wasn't in a hurry to get past Chapter 2. But then I hit that exact same point where now all of a sudden you're not dealing with just the monsters. There are other monsters that are human that were on that boat.
Right.
And
you find out one of the other passengers, the whole reason they were on that boat is because they were tipped off that the serial killer was on the boat. And you find out he was there with a partner. And before the boat even sank, you find out that the serial killer had killed his partner while they were still on the boat. It was just like, damn.
And he gets
I believe the partner's name was Paul, by the way, so Paul.
He gets very, very close to killing party members. And one thing I was not expecting about this game is the Game of Thrones style plotline where you think certain people are safe.
Yep.
Guess what?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's safe.
I literally almost brought up Game of Thrones talking. I spoke to you about the character that dies there.
Yeah.
And you were like, why did that guy have to die? And I'm like, good people don't always live. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. Oh, but it didn't say that.
What was so specifically painful about that is the entire conversations you have with him about what he's going to do when he gets home.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make it home like that. Really hits. Like, I was not expecting emotional feels in this game. I was just expecting to kill some monsters. And I will promise you this, though, that the gang rallies around that death and they become stronger for it, and it becomes something that really brings everyone together as well. And I will
also be the one to tell you the game is not done punching you in the face.
I was gonna say I can't imagine anyone else being safe after that.
Yeah,
like spoiler alert, I'm the only one among the four of us who did not beat this game, but this is one of those games that it's gonna be like Nexomon. Like, even after the podcast is over, I am sending that screenshot with the end credits roll. I don't care if it's late. I'm doing it.
Hell yeah.
Like next time on Extinction. I hope no Extinction happens in this game.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, you had to do that. Really?
But, like...
How long did it take you to get that joke out? How long have you been sitting there waiting?
Oh, I haven't. That was just off the fucking cuff, baby.
Before we move on, I want to touch on a point that you...
Put it back on the cuff.
Nate, that you made when you were comparing this to Trails and how like it takes a little bit to get into it and then it starts rolling. You know, with Trails, it's like almost slice of life type stuff, and then political intrigue, boom, shit starts rolling. Governments are fighting, all that kind of stuff. In this game, it's like slice of life stuff. Oh, there's a serial killer. Oh, you mean the serial killer's just the first arc? Oh, there's dinosaurs on this island. Oh, there's time travel. And it's like this game just keeps ramping up to like these more ridiculous things. And it's the way they do it, though, like you said, magnificent, because it could have been easily super cheesy and dumb. and they executed it so well.
And I want to point out that I'm probably the least anime fan of this group. Like, I am not a big anime person. Like, generally, like, there's a few styles that I really like. Like, obviously, I'm a big Toriyama fan because of Dragon Quest and things like that. But, like, I really enjoyed the art style in this game. Like, I thought that the character design was super good. Like, I have one of my new favorite RPG characters of all time from this game, and that's coming from somebody that doesn't like anime that much and doesn't like action RPGs in general. So it's Sahad, yeah.
Yeah, Sahad's the
I
man.
love that fool. So can we talk about Sahad for a minute?
I think we should talk about all the characters, but like I want to make sure everybody gets their little points. Like I brought up the whole big part of that twist there. I want to see what everybody else has. And
after we're done talking about Sahad, I think we got to talk about fishing too.
Oh, fishing.
That's why I want to bring up Sahad.
I have fishing on my mental list of things that we need to discuss.
Perfect.
The thing with Ys, you're talking about anime. Before we get to Sahad, I do want to mention. I thought that I had when I was reading up the history or the lore behind Adol on the Ys Wikipedia, is that the whole character lore behind Adol is that he was this sailor adventurer who went on all of these adventures, like hundreds and hundreds of adventures, and he died when he was 65 or 67, somewhere around in there, and all of these games are based on the tales that he wrote down of all the adventures that he went on. So these are stories being told. I had this thought in my head, why have they never made Ys an anime series? Because they could take each game and make that a season, and they already have 10 seasons.
Bro, Ys VIII could easily be 5 seasons of an anime.
No fucking shit.
Yeah.
Honest
it's
to
like
God.
they have so much that they could pull from. I wonder why they've never done that. Like, I feel like that would just be more money for Falcon.
And even having played Ys VIII, I would watch the Ys VIII show. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because as much as I want to talk about like the characters and stuff, I grew really attached to just the castaways that weren't main Power Team members as well.
Oh, I cannot over explain how much I just like fell in love with Allison in particular. Like, I wanted her to have a good story. I figured out her twist very early on, and I was just like, yeah you know what?
Yeah.
She needs to have the best life she can.
You messaged me that, and I was like, how the fuck did he realize that already? But yeah, you're right.
So, like, let's talk the main cast a little bit, then we can kind of talk about, like, our favorite sub-characters a little bit. So, obviously, Adol's the main character. He's the red-headed anime protagonist that Dalton's been talking about.
Now, I just want to say, fun fact, it's now canonically pronounced Adol.
Yeah.
People
Adol.
used to call him Adol, but when they brought it over here, they were like, that sounds too close to Adolf, which makes people think of Adolf Hitler. So they started saying, no, it's Adol. It's not Adol, it's Adol. So now that is the canon term is Adol.
I did
Something always made me laugh. Always made me giggle.
I did genuinely wonder if they just took the name Adolf and clipped the last letter off.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But yeah, then we meet Laxia von Roswell. Native human
the way we meet her is hilarious too. By the way,
it's very anime. By the way,
that was actually a point in the game that I was worried that I was like, "Oh God, is this the kind of game I'm getting into?" Because
and that's really the only moment of it that I can remember.
Yeah, it's literally the only way the game does that.
And it's tasteful, and the camera angles are properly done anyway. It's just funny.
Yeah,
it's just one of those moments. Like, I had more questions than answers for that particular scene. If you want me to describe
go
it,
for
I will.
it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So you basically meet Laxia bathing, like on the shore,
On the river, yeah.
Yeah, after you've been shipwrecked, you wash up. She's the first actual person from the ship you run into.
And so she's in a towel. My first question is, you're shipwrecked. How did you find a towel?
That's dry.
That's dry. But, putting that plot hole aside, she gets so scared that she sees you that she pulls out her rapier. Adol just kind of whips it out of her hand. And the action of whipping it out of her hand makes her lose control of her towel, and she just drops it, and that becomes a point of contention for, like, the majority of Chapter 2, because Laxia just keeps bringing it up and throwing that dagger in a little bit. The point of it is, Adol never looked. He closed his eyes the second that towel began to drop. He was a gentleman about it, and she still never let him hear the end of it until more serious stuff started to happen, and she kind of just stopped caring. And that moment is not just funny, it's also a little pivotal because you get to see her character change and develop based on her situation. And she even acknowledges it herself towards the end of chapter 2 that she is different than her upbringing. She is different than her family history. And she acknowledges that she has to start recognizing people for their personalities and not their social status. And it's kind of great, even in the early game, to see her go from, you jerk, you're not supposed to see me naked, to, I have a lot to learn about the world.
Yeah.
And it's especially fun when she's butted up against Sahad, who is a very, very salt of the earth
so
dude.
the first playable cast members, the one you meet next is Sahad. And the way you meet Sahad is pretty hilarious, too. You just hear somebody yelling and screaming like, help, help! And he's just running. You see this giant beefcake of a blue-haired man running as fast as he can, carrying this giant...
Holding a broken boat anchor, just running.
Like 3/4 of a broken boat anchor.
You see him running, like, what the hell's going on with this guy? And you just look behind him, but there's this giant, like, T-Rex-sized velociraptor looking monster chasing after him.
Literally a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck?
And that's where you really start learning about the dinosaurs on the island, too. And you have to fight this guy off, and then Sahad becomes a party member, and he's just... really cool sailor dude. He's not a sailor, he's a fisherman from the Isle of Crete, and he's just was on this boat that went down, and he was just there trying to get back to his family because he talks about his wife and kid a lot, and he's just kind of rough around the edges. He'll burp and fart, and when you first meet him, he scratches his head, and all this dandruff comes out of it.
And Laxi is just completely grossed out by it.
Oh, dude, yeah, they're sitting around the fire and he rips a fart and she's like, oh my God, Sahad, or basically.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and he's just a joy of a character.
And, like, he brings Laxia around. I don't actually think he learned anything out of Laxia. I think that was a one-point streak.
I think if any character changed the least, it was Sahad, because Sahad came into this island knowing exactly who he was, and he didn't need to learn anything about himself. Because he was also the the oldest of the main crew as well. Because, like, he was probably in his 30s, maybe early 40s at the latest, but he was definitely older than the other guys by a margin.
I would love to sit down and have a beer with Sahad and Yangus. Like, I feel like that would be such an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That would be great. Yeah, dude, Sahad, and that is a good point real quick to break in and say, when you get those 3, you now have your 3, quote, attack styles. You got your blade, your like mid-range, and then your like heavy hitter. I don't remember exactly what the difference is between all of them. But I know that some characters are better at breaking the defense of other enemies. And you end up with 6 party members. We're about to talk about the others, but that always comes into play. I didn't necessarily use it a ton, you know what I mean? But like I did have that in mind. Though towards the end of the game, it started to matter less because I spent a good 12 hours and got all my characters to 99.
Of course you did.
Because I'm a psychopath. Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, the other characters we can go on now.
It's a sign of a good game.
Yeah. And the next character you meet is this guy named Hummel. And he's kind of this quiet kind of guy. He has a very Liam Neeson and Taken type of vibe to him.
I have a very specific set of skills. Yeah. I'm a transporter.
Except he comes off as like a very like phony goon type. Like he wants to be perceived as that, is what I got out of him immediately.
Yeah. And he's like, my job, I'm a transporter. Kind of
we don't talk about what we deliver. We don't look at it. We just deliver. We don't ask questions.
And the funniest thing about it is the whole reason he's on this island is because he was actually trying to make a delivery to somebody else that was on the island before you got there, who'd put a bottle in the ocean and asked for a jar of pickles and planned to build a boat. And that's what Hummel brought with him to transport to the Isle.
He found that. He found it, and because there was payment in the jar, that sealed the contract. He immediately was like, all right, well, I got to do this.
He's very a duty-bound character who takes his profession and job very seriously, and like he comes and goes from the party a lot of the time because he's just focused on making this delivery. That's his whole purpose.
But he also I feel like he wants to be perceived as Shadow from Final Fantasy VI.
I was gonna say
the cool
combination of Shadow and a little bit of Magus from Chrono Trigger, just a little.
In D&D terms,
but the cool
he is
thing
true
is
neutral.
that like, but the cool thing is like, once you get him back, you realize, oh, this guy's actually kind of cool. He's just kind of a weirdo because of his own circumstances.
I mean,
and like, if you find out his full story, it makes a lot of sense where he got
I
that
don't
from.
usually have pickles on my Hummels.
Shut up, Willie.
What
you
what did
let
I
me
do?
come back. This is your
I like
doing.
Hummel on my Euro.
Dalton. Mikhailov made a very Willie joke there. That's why I said your name. But, and then the fifth character you meet is this little girl. What?
I'm just, you blame me for his joke, dude. His joke sucked on his own merits. Do not bully him for that.
That's a very brother thing to do. His joke sucked and it's all your fault.
I know.
But the fifth main party member you get is this little girl named Rakota. And you found out she somehow grew up on this island and has a mentor that is a bird and a master that is a giant monkey. So,
He's the man, Master Kong.
But most importantly, she has a father who has been leaving messages you've been seeing throughout the whole island, and the father is missing. So you got to go fucking hunt
so you
him
team
down.
up with the little girl. She ends up being the first person you see actually damage one of the primordials, which is the dinosaurs, by throwing these things at him. We're like, holy crap, how did she do that? And you learn about like the orichalcum from her, which is orichalcum is this very dense, heavy, strong metal that can pierce the dinosaurs, so you can finally actually fight them. But yeah, so she's just this little cute girl who's very excited and happy all the time, and she kind of goes,
I love her. She's genuinely
and
wonderful.
Before you go into it, she's always like, tally ho!
Yeah, tally ho.
So she,
Yeah, dude.
Which is
I love
something that
Rakota.
she read in a book that washed ashore.
yeah. And speaking back to fighting styles, Hummel uses the same fighting style as Laxia, and Rakota uses the same fighting style as Sahad, and she gets very attached to Sahad.
Yeah, she does. And dude, Rakota can put out some damage when you first get her. Like, it evens out more towards the later games, but when you first get her, she's got a couple little skill moves that do some serious poundage on enemies.
And then,
I found it kind of difficult to switch party members because the party members who aren't your active party member will not get as much experience. So I did switch out Sahad for Hummel at one point, and now Sahad is a little bit further behind in levels, and it actually kind of bothers me. So
Go grind, son.
yeah, I know, but I wanted to play as Hummel, and then he left, and I ended up back with Sahad in the party, and he was behind in levels. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. So I'm actually hesitant now to use anybody other than the core three because, I mean, granted, I'm playing on easy. I know Willie played on hard, and Dalton, I'm assuming you played on easy, probably with cheats.
No, I
Well, I mean,
played
that's cool
on normal.
because Laxia dies in chapter 4 anyway.
but she
so.
doesn't.
I'll say this is your fruits are all not for naught.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Don't stress out about that.
I'm just, I am just fucking with you. I made that up. Just
And then
I know, because
the only person that ever leaves your party is Hummel for like a little while. You get him back.
And then the final person that you play as in this game is Donna. And you start piecing together fast that you're having these dreams as Adol about this character named Donna. And you start playing as Donna in these dreams as well. And you start to piece together this is events that happened in the past. And as Dalton had mentioned, there's time travel that does happen. And eventually you do find Donna in this timeline. And she becomes the sixth party member.
And she's badass. God, she's really fast. She's fast. That's
Yeah,
her
she's
thing.
But
better.
she also uses the same ability as Adol, so I didn't use her ever.
No. Early on in the game, like I got really attached to Adol, Laxia, and Sahad. So I've really never used Hummel or Rakota or Donna in the main party.
I did use Hummel and Ricotta for a while, trying to keep their levels even, and then after a while it was just like, no, you know what? I'm just going to use the main 3.
I feel like when I get to that point,
and then
I'm going to actually swap out Laxia for Donna, because there is a part I played between chapters 2 and 3 where you actually get to play as Donna, and they handle the whole dream sequence thing really cool, because it starts off as like these vague sketches, and you're not sure what's going on, but it's all like monocolor with dialogue that you're reading about things that are actually happening, and it's all just kind of vague, and you're just learning all these little tiny snippets of Donna and the beginning of her life. And then the further you get into the game, these dream sequences become more into focus, and by the time you hit chapter 3, Donna is a playable character, and you're actually moving around as her, and then Adol will wake up and will be like, I could have sworn I was just that person. Like, it's a lot more lucid to him, which I'm sure, and you guys know better than I do, because you guys all beat the game, that's gonna all, like, come to a head at some point.
Yeah.
But that little bit of time that I played as Donna, like, those big giant dual swords that she has, like, she was just a fun character to play as, so I will probably end up keeping her in the main party just because she's just awesome.
I mean, I beat the game with Adol, Donna, and Sahad in my party, so it's doable.
And I will say this, I want to go into Donna's character a little bit more, because like we talked about the other 5. So Donna, you learned that in the past that she was what is called the Maiden of the Great Tree, which just basically means she is this very prominent and important figure in this time of the past, which were called the Eternians, were the people who lived on this island in the past, well, long before the humans that we know now live there. And she was just this prominent figure, almost like a holy figure for their country. And she was just really wrapped up in trying to... So she had this ability to see premonitions, basically, see what things that are going to happen in the future. And she's trying to make sure the people are aware of the things that are going to happen in the future. And she eventually starts getting these red visions of these things that are the cataclysms that are going to happen. There's going to be, shockingly, giant meteors come and destroy the world as they know it. So the giant meteors are going to hit the Earth and kill the dinosaurs, essentially. And so that's the basis of Donna's story. Like, more comes to pass and you find out why she makes it to the future, but that is like late game stuff that you actually find out all that.
But after you figure out that she ends up being the maiden or the tree wizard or whatever the title is, the game actually takes you to a certain point as Adol, where you look around and you see this big giant tree with an entryway off in the distance surrounded by water. And I think that's where you start making the connection as to where you are versus the plot in the past. You start to realize that this is all interconnected, and where you are is where you were when you were playing as Donna.
Yes.
That also will come.
And there are things that you see in the past where Donna is also able to see what's happening in the future with Adol's party, and she starts doing things in the past to make things easier in the present for the party, which is really cool and interesting how that all comes together.
Yeah, because there's like a mysterious tree that shows up at one point that actually helps you get to a mountain. And that was previously inaccessible in Chapter 2. And you got to see a little cutscene where they're like, well, we can't, there's no way we can get here right now. So we have to go back and try later. And then the plot brings you back to that point, and then the tree is there, and you're like, this wasn't here before, but now we can get across.
Right.
So that specific tree, I think, you actually don't see the explanation for. But, like, the other tree, like, it happens. It is explained what she did. And, like, that's really cool, too. Like, you don't understand why that tree is a thing until later.
It's really well-constructed plot, in my opinion. I think they did a really good job of having things happen, and then you're like, what the hell? And then you get a really genuine explanation for why that happened later. It doesn't feel like a MacGuffin. It doesn't feel like just something they put in there to put in there. It feels like it matters.
And it's not Tarantino levels of disjointed. Like, it's easy to follow.
Yeah. So I really appreciated the way they handled everything about Donna's character, which if you would have told me this was what the plot was going to be when I first started, I'd been like, that sounds hokey and stupid, but they make it work really well.
Oh, yeah. And from everything I've seen online, the Ys community fucking loves Donna.
Well, I mean, shocker.
I mean, not even for the fact that she's like a hot piece of meat. Like, it's like she's just a really good character, and people were like, man, they really fleshed her out well. Like, she's just a very
I was satisfied from the way they introduced her to the way they ended her character arc, beginning to end.
Oh God, I can't wait to talk about that. we all got the true ending, so we all got to see like what actually happened.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Or no, go ahead. You got
so I was going to say, that's the basis. Like, those are the main 6 characters. And I don't want to talk about every single castaway, even though we could spend like 2 hours talking about them. So I was just wondering if you guys had any of the castaways that really stuck out to you as some favorites.
So I have 2. I really like the blacksmith.
Kathleen.
I can't remember her name.
That was one. That is my favorite.
I love her.
Yeah, I
love her.
I love her voice. Like, the voice actor who plays her, like, I like that voice a lot.
Yeah, she sounds very real. She sounds kind of like Southern without doing an actual Southern accent, but she sounds like you could just run into her in Kentucky.
Yeah, she has one of those
deeper,
fuller voices that, like, I don't know. I just really liked it.
No, I agree. I fully agree.
And then this is a castaway you don't find till much later, but I love the eccentric painter. Austin. That guy cracked me up, and your responses to what he would say with Adol were always like, what? Stuff like that.
Right? Your just are like...
I swear there was at one point in that I thought Austin was going to lean over and kiss Adol. I really did.
Yeah, and it was going to be like a moment of Adol being like, what just happened? Like,
and then he isn't even like the character that I think is canonically gay in this game.
Mm-mm.
Like, I genuinely think Austin is straight.
I think he's just eccentric.
He's just... Yeah, I think he's just a weirdo.
Like my favorites were definitely Kathleen. I thought she was fantastic. She's like this blacksmith's daughter who's going into the same profession, and she's trying to find out a way to make it her own, being kind of like unique from her father, because it's like a hereditary thing where all the family's blacksmiths and she's taking over, but she wants it to be hers. You know what I mean? And then my other is not really a castaway because they found this character on the island, but I love Little Parrow. Little Parrow is a parrot that you find, and if you listen to the intro of the episode, Mikhailov did a great impression of Little Parrow from one of the battle sequences, and he's just this parrot that you find, and the Captain Barbaros starts training him to talk and help you out on the field. So this kind of gives you a way to be in communication with the camp while you were out adventuring, looking for other castaways. And he's just such a funny bird. I like him a lot.
And
I especially love that Queen had started teaching him, like, to say nasty stuff, too. He's like, I'll pick your head.
This little prankster girl you find.
The thing with Parrow is, like, you wouldn't think that there was going to be, like, this major character reveal for a bird.
Oh, I was going to say, we definitely don't need to actually say what it is, but there is a very
it's wild
ending reveal.
You're like, Parrow? Really? Parrow? Really? Yeah. Yeah, Parrow is awesome. I love that little bird.
I literally did not have my guard up for Parrow at all, so I was extremely stunned by the Parrow reveal.
Red guy.
Yeah, funny.
Red guy.
So funny. I love that bird.
I help. You think... Hold on. I didn't do the parrot voice.
I help. You thank me. I help. You feed me.
Have some nuts.
What?
And I think everybody really liked Captain Barbaros, too. He was just a commanding figure and did a great job of setting up the camp and everything.
Oh, yeah, Barbaros was the man. The one video I watched on Ys VIII, the guy called him Captain Barbados, and the guy went, fuck. That's not what I meant to say, Captain Barbaros. My mind just blanked. Doesn't matter. Move on.
What about you guys, Willie?
Willie
or Mikhailov? Y'all had any?
I think I already said it, but I was absolutely in love with Allison. I figured out what was going on with her basically immediately.
And the thing about Allison, too, is like, she's there, and she's so worried about her husband, who is also on the ship. And you're just like, the whole time I'm playing, like, I have got to find this bitch's husband.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna say Euron, the Roman police officer, the one who was looking for the nameless killer. He's very gruff and down to earth. He isn't a party member. I was kind of surprised that he wasn't a party member.
Yeah. Me too, actually. I actually did think he would actually join the party.
But he strikes me more as like a detective.
And the thing,
so he's a good one to like bounce ideas off of or get clues from. And so he starts off being kind of gruff and like unresponsive and almost accusatory. And then he warms up to everybody very quick. And, you know, you don't really see it in the way he presents himself emotionally, but he decides to be helpful, and he decides to be a person who's going to do his part for the village, and he's got a particular set of skills, and he's going to put them to good use, and he ends up just being kind of a cool dude.
Yeah, he's definitely like one of those guys with the tough exterior and just that soft, sweet inside he does not like to show at all. So it's like, you get the moments with him where you can really see it, but then he's always like trying to be really stern and solid the rest of the times. I really appreciated his character as well.
Just like Nate.
I would like to give a special shout out to Shoebill.
Yes.
The Shoebill.
I love that bird.
The mentor.
There's like, you just feed it fish, which we can talk about fishing. But you feed it fish throughout the game, and it gives you items after you feed it a certain number of fish. But it cracked every time you just go up to talk to him, it would just say squaw like a bird. But I would always read it like squaw. So, dude, I just want some fish, bro. Like, squaw.
The Shoebill was so chill. Shoe chill.
Shoe chill.
Shoe chill.
Shoe chill.
Shoe chill. Yeah, that was a badass bird. Man, this game just had cool birds.
Absolutely, it did. And like the shoebill just randomly shows up one day. You're just like there, and you see this giant shoebill bird, which is a real bird in the real world, except for this one has horns. And you just talk to it, and it's just like squaw, and then you can give it some fish.
You just feed her some fish. Yeah, it rules. I love her.
I was waiting to feed her one of the legendary fish, and it'd be like, she's still hungry and not satisfied. It's like, girl, that fucking fish was the size of a car. What are you talking about? Which, speaking of, there is a fishing mini in this. You guys know that we were all immediately like, whoa, fishing! It's a little different. Like, to me, this is how I wish Stardew Valley's fishing was. But, so, you go through, there's like a big list of fish that you can catch, but there are 4 legendary fish. That's what I basically want to touch on, is the legendary fish. When they spawn, so Mikhailov, you're still playing through the game, so I want you to heed this.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you go into an area with water, if there is a legendary fish that spawns there, the first time you're in there, it is going to spawn 100% of the time. Anytime after that, it is a 10% chance it's going to spawn. So always keep your eye out in water for the big black looking fish thing, so you don't miss any of the legendary fish. There are 4.
Okay.
Reeling in the 3rd and 4th of the legendary fish were harder than some boss fights that I fought in this game.
Yeah.
Legitimate.
Legit, the fishing mechanics in this game are pretty fun. It's like, it does have the aspect where you're mashing A the whole time, but then it, like, other like fishing games, like, hold your stick right. It's like, turn the rod right, turn the rod left. Hold down, like, the R1 and R2 buttons, which reminds me of just, like, cutting the drag as hard as you can. And then you just go back to it, and then, like, there's spin the left stick in this direction, spin the left stick in this direction. Honestly, this is what I wish Sega Bass Fishing would have been.
Nate, that had the exact same read of the holding the shoulder buttons down. It's just, like, pulling the drag and holding.
Surprisingly,
that's awesome.
A game that has a very similar fish mechanic to this is Final Fantasy 15.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
I like the sound of that.
I almost installed Final Fantasy 15 the other day just to go fishing in that game, but that is like 115 gigs.
Oh, wow.
So I was
and
like,
it's 115 gigs of a game that's the best.
The game's
part
not
of the
that
fishing.
bad. It's not that bad. That's a whole nother...
It's not that great either, Dalton.
It's a conversation for another episode, Mikhailov.
Yeah.
The eventual Final Fantasy 15 episode. But, like I said, the fishing mechanics were more robust than Sega Bass Fishing, and it was just a lot of fun. Like, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I like fishing mini games more than I like fishing games.
Yeah, you know, it's like when I can go and do other things besides fishing, it's not just fishing, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I'm in agreement with that too. I like having the option to fish, but it's not the meat of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I especially like when the mini games give me really big fish to catch because that's always my thing.
Catching,
of like
I know you said you
fisherman.
caught the 4. I think I caught 3 of the legendaries, and like you said, like they are a tough fight, and it feels really good to see that bar go across the screen and build up like it's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer. It's just really satisfying.
Now, when I failed to catch the fish the first time, because I think I only caught 1, and I think it was a tutorial fish. Mm-hmm. When I failed to catch a fish the first time, I was able to recast. Am I still going to be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so I won't have to like save scum.
No,
or
you don't need to
anything?
save scum. They will be there until you leave the area.
Okay.
If you leave the area and come back, they might be gone.
But there's a chance they'll come back.
Yeah, after that, there's a 10% chance. And you'll find them, like, there are multiple places they can spawn. So, like, I caught that bull dart, the one that me and Nate posted. Yeah. I've caught that one multiple times. Because it was cast out and be like, oh, yeah, here's the one I've been waiting for. God damn it, I already caught this one before.
But they do give decent rewards, too, because, like, when you catch a fish, you get materials. Like, early on in the game, you're catching these tiny fish, and you just get, like, white meat off of them. But eventually, you start getting items you need to craft. You can get them other ways, tue. At fishing is one way to get them. Like, you can get, like, Tektite ore, which is used to craft weapons and stuff, too. So, like, there is a gameplay reason to want to catch fish, because it's an easy way to get better materials faster.
Also,
I think beast bones and beast hide, I think, came off of fish, and I needed those really badly.
Also, the birds that you'll see perched on the water that have the treasure chest underneath them, so you fish up the treasure chest, and you get the prismatic jewels or the big pearls, which you can use to trade for stuff at the trader in the camp. But the thing that I enjoyed about damn, that's why they call it dope. Lost my thought again. Doesn't matter.
All right, so
moving on.
That's a lot of the cool mechanics in the game. I will say there's very few things that I did not like about this game. And one of those major things were the raids and the beast hunts, which were basically just like you're defending your camp from an invading horde of monsters. And it's just basically like fight off 5 waves of enemies back to back to back. And it's just like, this is kind of boring. I don't really like this.
Yeah.
I've never been one for tower defense mechanics, and that's exactly what this is. It's tower defense nonsense, and maybe if it were like integral for a couple of plot points, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that's probably the weakest part of the whole game.
Which it's not. I was really worried when I first got my first one that it was going to be this huge pervasive part of the game that I had to do multiple times. I think through the course of the game there were maybe 5 or 6 required, and they weren't even really required. You can choose to not do them, but I'm weird and they ask me to do it, so I do it. So
I enjoyed raiding and hunting, honestly. So maybe I'm the weird one out here, but I actually like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Mechanics are for some people and not for others. Like, there's something for everyone. You're not going to like every single aspect of the game. But for me, it's just like 95 to 99% of this game I really did like a lot.
You didn't like it because it reminded you of RTS games. You thought it was going to be more RTS than it was.
All of a sudden, it takes the brutal legend path in your play.
Yeah.
Sad.
I was just going to bring up that game, too, because that's when I immediately shut off that game.
I tried.
Quickly.
I got so sick of that game, man. I really wanted to love that game.
The first half is great. And then the second half is tower defense, and I can't do it.
Real quickly, I remembered the 2 things that I'd forgotten. The first one was Adol is, when we were back talking about him, he has red hair because of the limitations of, I believe it was the TurboGrafx or the PC Engine, one of the two, when the first Ys game came out.
The PC Engine is the TurboGrafx.
Oh, well, then there you go. So that system. They had color limitations, so they made his hair red, but then later on editions that made him stand out against all the other like yellow hair and black haired characters. So Adol became Adol the Red. And the other thing, when we were fishing, did you ever accidentally fish up an enemy that kicked your dick?
The enemies you caught while fishing were so much tougher than the ones on the main map.
Yeah, that was wild.
I
fished up a level like 70 monster when I was like level 50.
So before I ever got that item that allows you to take care of undead permanently, I accidentally fished up one of those fucking skeleton guys and killed him and was like, whoo, that was a hard fight. And then he just stood back up.
And then he just fucking came back up. Dude, that exactly happened to me like 1 foot away from the ship.
Yeah.
Where, you know?
That's when you pull the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and you just go, "Run away! Run away!"
Yeah. Well, I will say this late game, I did start not fighting every monster on the map. Like, early on, I would fight everything.
Yeah.
But as I got later in the game, the monsters do get tankier, so it takes a lot longer to defeat every monster on the field. So, like, I would just, like, yeah, no, I want to see how this game ends. I'm running.
Yeah, I did that a lot towards the end. Start just bypassing groups of enemies because you can run faster than them.
Like, the big guys, they can take a good 30 seconds to a minute to fight some of them. And, like, I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it is when you're playing a action, fast-paced video game to take 30 seconds to a minute to fight one monster.
Especially when, like, they start towards later on, you start getting a bunch of the big ones all on the same maps. So it's like there might be a group of those fuckers that you have to try to fight, and that's going to take you a good 5 minutes. Yeah, I can see that for sure. So can we discuss the difference in the endings?
I would, yeah. So, like, I think we've honestly done a lot more to cover the plot than I had planned to. Because, like, when we talked about the characters, we really gave you a background on what every character is about and what they did. So, like, yeah, I'm down.
All right, well, you guys are discussing the endings. I'm going to dip out and refill my water.
Okay.
Yeah. Have a good water.
So there are 3 endings to this game: a bad ending, a good ending, and a true ending. Now, we all 3 got the true ending. So the bad ending. So with things that happen in the end of the game, basically Donna, now that Mikhailov's gone, spoilers for Ys VIII. If you don't want to hear these, skip ahead. 3, 2, 1. So Donna basically sacrifices herself to stop the Lacrimosa from happening, and everyone dooming because it's like Lacrimosa comes around every so often. The Great Tree wipes Earth out. It's kind of like God in a sense. Wipes Earth out and then starts over from scratch. And this has happened a lot of times. And there are like these group, I don't remember what they're called, the Scions or something like that. And
The Wardens?
The Wardens, that's right, the Wardens. And they're one person from each of the races that have been completely wiped out by the Great Tree that are kept to basically bear witness to the rest of it and carry on that one little... So there's a lot of that going on. Well, Donna, there we go, sacrifices herself and prevents that from happening. So the bad ending is that cutscene, like all of that shit happens. You do the final boss fight and then Adol wakes up. It's like, man, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And he goes out and he talks to everyone. None of them know what the fuck he's talking about. And then you go back to that area where that tree is at. And Adol's like, man, I feel like I should remember something here, but oh well. And he leaves and he gets on the boat and everyone leaves and no one remembers anything that happened. They just think that, they got off the island. That's the bad ending. The good ending is they find out some of the information about Donna, and then it cuts back to Adol waking up. Adol remembers Donna. No one else remembers Donna. They get on the boat and Laxia has like this thing like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And Sahad goes like something like, that always happens when you're leaving a vacation. It's all good. You're not forgetting anything. And then they leave. And that's, so the true ending though, is that you guys all go and you meet the original goddess and the original maiden of the Great Tree. And she says there's like, she's passing on basically her mantle where Donna is now everywhere and everything all at once.
Donna becomes a goddess, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, she literally does.
So the big reveal is that the first maiden of the Great Tree, you're all standing around. You're like, man, we feel like something should be here. And all of a sudden you hear, Pharaoh. And here comes this bird. And all of a sudden the bird's just like, whoosh, turns into a goddess.
What happened? It's so wild.
You're like, what the fuck? You've been a bird this whole... Yeah, that's why Pharaoh was so helpful. It's because it's been a fucking goddess watching over you this whole time.
Just crazy stuff. I love it.
And then Donna... I saw some people complaining that it was a Deus Ex Machina. And I was like, suck a bag of dicks. Like, it worked well. Like, come on now. But
I do have one question, though. So all of the Wardens were the last survivors of their species, right?
Yeah.
Where the fuck did Sarai
They said
come
that from
from?
the thing. Sarai was an alien species that came down and lived, came down during the Eternia era and could take the mantle. She was like a shapeshifter and she took on the mantle of, so the real Sarai, when Sarai died, she became Sarai and took on her mannerisms.
So basically the Sarai that Donna had known her whole life was not the real Sarai. It was the other. Yeah. So.
You're right.
So that's how the true ending kind of wraps up. Everybody remembers what happens. You get closure. There's this very, very sweet, almost bring a tear to your eye scene between Donna and Adol, and then everybody gets off the island.
You get a little Breakfast Club style ending where it says what every the main cast does when they finally get off the island.
Yeah, and it's really a good wrap up to a great
And I was
game.
really happy that Sahad got the ending he deserved. He got off the island, went home to his family, and lived a normal life for the rest of his life. So he got his one big adventure, and then he just got to be a normal dude fishing for his family.
And he lived on in legend. Because that was the thing, is like people spoke, and they often wondered if he was the blue-haired fisherman that was of legend that people would talk about, but he never admitted to it. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
Rules.
I also like that the end credits definitely revealed that Hummel was gay.
Did they? I missed that part.
Straight guy, baby.
I did pick up on
that
it.
one
Yeah,
too, right?
Yeah. So Hummel was a very deep character, surprisingly. I will say about the endings, I don't necessarily like the way they gated the endings. Like, I think it'd be really hard to get the bad ending. Like, you would just have to be just doing main story, I feel like, to get bad ending. Yeah. But the way they gate it is, I don't remember what the threshold to get the good ending. No, I mean the normal ending. I don't know what the threshold between bad and normal is, but like the good ending, you have to have 200 reputation points as Adol when you beat the game to get the good ending. And you gain reputation by doing the side quests that are posted on the bulletin board, by doing just nice things like giving gifts to the castaways and like feeding the shoebill fish. And then there's this other character, I don't remember its name, Litchi or something, Mishy. You feed them meals from, like, that because you can cook in this game to have, like, there's 13 different recipes you get. If you feed them all 13, you get bonus points. Things like that. So you have to kind of be actively doing the side quests, which I think if you're playing a game like this, you would be anyway. But it did stress me out the closer I got to the end of the game and seeing that I was at, like, 170 and not closer to 200. So I think
that's why I made sure to tell you about don't forget about the gifts, which you didn't, but I wanted to be sure to tell you that because that's a big boost for each of the characters and getting their
and then it boosts it even further if you watch because like if you max out the appreciation for a character, you get a cutscene with just Adol and that character, and that also gives your reputation up as well. So
I'm glad I came back at that moment because I've been kind of plowing my way through the main story because I wanted to get as much done for the podcast. But now that we're here recording the podcast and I still failed miserably, I can go back and do some of those side quests and kind of take a little bit more chill approach to
I would if I were you. And I
wouldn't
game. Stress out too much about missing some of the ones if you did just completely skip a few, because the side quests are worth the least amount of points. It's way more important to build your approval rating with the other castaways. So, like...
Well, the only side quest that I actively chose not to do that I can no longer access is Sir Carlin's.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Everyone else I either did or I'm actively working on pursuing.
I think you'll be okay. Don't stress out.
Okay.
We have not really talked about him, but I'm assuming everyone's least favorite character in the game was Sir Carlin because he is meant to be the shithead.
You know what? You say that he's the least favorite. I enjoyed the fact that he was there because he was provided so much.
Yeah. He's
the guy you love to hate. He provided comic relief by being like this stuck-up hoity-toity dude who was completely useless. Like, so useless, in fact, that in the early raids, when he helped, he raised the enemy's attack and defense when he tried to help. He's just such a stupid character.
I wonder if that's a trope in Falcom games because he reminded me of the Duke.
A lot.
From the trailer.
I had the exact same thought.
Yes, actually, I was thinking, holy shit, yes.
Yeah. Dude, but in any case, he was funny. And the things that happen with him throughout the game are comical. So I'll give you that. But he's meant to be the one that you're like, oh, this fucking guy.
Fuck this guy.
This fucking guy.
He's fucking guy.
When he got fucking got, the one thing I thought was, please don't take the boat. Just don't take the boat. You can kill him, but don't take the boat.
Yeah, and the point of that little boat that you made is you literally had to go out and gather wood to make this boat that you never used. And I spent a good chunk of time thinking, oh, I need this boat to get from this part of the island to this part of the island because there was a little batch of shallow water. And you never use the dang boat. You never build another boat. And me getting the materials for that boat was such a pain in the neck. I hate you, Sir Carlin.
Don't blame Sir Carlin.
I hate you, Sir Carlin. I'm very, very sad that I had to kill the dinosaur that ate you. Oh wait, I got that.
By
the way,
I got that plot point. I got that plot point wrong. But I'm probably gonna have to kill that thing too.
No, I think you're right. I think no,
it's not the dinosaur. It's the other thing.
No.
Yeah, the thing you killed killed Nemo.
The thing that I killed, killed
the nameless killer.
The nameless, which you know what? I still stand by it. I hated killing that dinosaur.
The nameless killer named Nemo.
Yeah. Well, one of these days, maybe you'll kill the Kraken.
Yeah, it's
killed
Oceana. It's pronounced Okeana.
I don't want to kill that thing.
It's such a weird...
The Okeana.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. I want to kill that thing because he broke my dang boat.
Well, you want to kill the Okeanas because he fucking broke the original boat, too.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Oh, yeah, he did. He destroyed the Lombardia. Yep. You know what? What does this guy have against boats?
Why does he hate boats?
Just anti-boat asshole.
This giant squid hates boats.
He's a boatist.
He's an anti-boat type.
Click here to see more.
Man. But yeah, I think it's about the game covered, and I'm very satisfied with that.
I do think so. I do have one more thing I want to say, which is I think that the plot that it eventually went into was such a wild sci-fi origin story that, like, I genuinely think that the game that it became should have been a different game.
I can see that.
I can see that.
Like, it worked. They worked backwards from the end story, the story that Mikhailov hasn't even seen yet. Yeah, and it's a cool story they came up with. But I think Ys as a group of castaways was a really cool story that should have just.
I can see that too. Game. I'm not mad at it though.
Let's do it.
No, I'm not. That's my main criticism.
I can definitely see where you're coming from on that.
Hey, you boys about ready to get into some ratings?
Yeah, the clock just struck 1 a.m. over here.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Well then, let's start off with the guest, Mikhailov. What are you going to rate Ys VIII, my good sir?
Let the guest go last. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Right.
I'm going to start. Nate, you're wearing a red shirt.
I am. It's a hard one.
Quick side note: I got mad at somebody on the vacation a couple days ago. Because we were going to get onto the island and we had to get on these little, like, water shuttles. And she was sitting there going, like, oh, I'm wearing a red shirt and I have to get on this boat. Don't the people with red shirts in Star Trek always get thrown off the base? And I immediately, like, line full of people, no hesitation, was just like, only in the original series, not in Next Generation. And I made, like, half the line laugh. And I think the other half applauded.
Plus, fucking Scotty wore a red shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
I would have grabbed her and threw her off the base. You're right.
That's how much more.
Into the water you go.
Pretty sure that would get me arrested.
Probably, yeah.
Worth it for the joke.
Thank you for not murdering anyone. So, non-murderer Mikhailov, what's your score?
His turn. It's my turn.
I interrupted Nate, so
it's Nate.
Let Nate with the red shirt go.
Yeah. So, this is a hard one because, like, I'm really torn on what I want to give this. And it's because I'm debating between two extremely high numbers, essentially. Because I think this is now my favorite Nihon Falcom game. Like, I like this more than I like either of the two Trails games. And I literally did not see that coming. When we picked this game, I was like, this is going to be a slog, one I'm going to have to work my way through. And like I said earlier, like, I started off slow on it, but I eventually just plowed my way through because I was having such a damn good time with it. So, sorry, I'm doing myself a quick favor. I ended up giving Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky a 9-star rating, which I think is valid. I still think that's very valid. This is a damn near perfect game. I love Ys VIII a lot. The only thing holding me back is the fact that I didn't like the raids. Like, everything else, I love the characters. Like I said, Sahad is now one of my all-time favorite RPG characters. Like, I love Sahad so much. Fuck it, dude. Just fuck it. This game gets a straight 10 Primordials out of 10 Saurians.
Let's fucking go.
All right. Yeah, dude. Here, I'll go next. Why not? Make it different. It warms my heart. Oh, pardon me. 1 second. I gotta stop hitting my vape pen before I want to talk. It warms my heart.
A pen shouldn't be doing that to you. That's messed up, dude.
I was able to pick a game that resonated so much with you guys. You know what I mean? Like, it always makes me feel good when I can throw specifically like an RPG at you guys that you enjoy, because I know that RPGs can be very overwhelming and hit or miss. So I think I am going to give Ys VIII, with my experience from it and the fun that I had, I'm gonna agree with Nate. I'm gonna give it a 10. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. It is the quintessential action RPG.
It
in my
is
opinion,
hands down easily my favorite action RPG I've ever played.
All right, Willie, what about you?
I have never had more fun with this kind of game before now. I feel a little bullied because I was planning to give this game an 8 going in about 2 days ago. And then I played the last 2 acts of it. And holy shit, this game sticks the landing. It sticks the landing in such a fantastic way that I've got to say, if you're looking for an action RPG, there's just genuinely not a better way to go. I can't imagine a better action RPG. I have to go with 10 Lacrimosas out of 10 Danas.
All right.
So that's 3 10s from the hosts, man. That puts you on a. Are you going to break the cycle? You haven't beat the game yet, so
no.
What's
I have enough to rate it.
All right.
So let's talk about not just my personal enjoyment of the game, but let's talk about what this game has done. Dalton didn't just beat it; he 100%ed it and platinumed it.
Well, working on it. I'm close.
Okay, you 98%ed it and are about to platinum it. Nate and Willie sat for entire days to beat this game.
I want to throw...
You must know...
I want to say real quick, I was playing this game while I was at work.
Yeah.
You work from...
I played this game like it was my full-time job. Genuinely speaking, I have accomplished nothing in the last 4 days because I just... Like, at first I wanted to play this game because I wanted to beat it for the podcast. But in the end, I kept on playing the game because I wanted to play the game.
So, now let's cut to me, who was on vacation. And every moment that I was on vacation, that I wasn't playing this game, I was thinking about when I was going to be able to get back to my cabin to be able to play this game. And how many games can any of us mention that has had this much of an effect on every single one of the 4 of us on this show right here at this moment? And
it's true.
There is no reason for me not to give this game a perfect 10 Ys out of 10 S's.
It has been a long time since we've had a 10s across the board.
I was going to say, it's a clean sweep, and I don't know if we've had one of those in a year.
Good job, Dalton.
Yeah.
This might be the only non-Yakuza game that's got that score.
The only other thing I have to say is, like, Dalton, thank you for picking it, and thank you for thinking of me when you picked it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this game to our attention, dude. I cannot overstate how much fun I had playing this game.
Yeah, for sure. And
like,
the
music whips. The gameplay whips. Everything about this game rules.
And that's the thing. We didn't talk about, and we don't have to, but we didn't talk about the rest of the soundtrack. You heard us rant about the first fucking song in the game. They are all bangers. like Mount Gadharma, or however you say it.
Oh, that music
Gendarme.
is just ridiculously.
It feels like it's out of a Castlevania game, and like you all know how I feel
Yeah.
about Castlevania music.
Yeah, it's,
Hell yeah. Dude, Michiru Yamane is fucking amazing.
but before we move on to questions and then Nate's pick, Mikhailov, you have to give yourself some credit because behind the scenes, I was very indecisive on what I wanted to pick. And you and I had discussed before when we were doing the JRPG report that you were like, oh, if you did Ys VIII, I'd love to get an excuse to play that game. So that planted the seed in my head. And then when I was like, man, I'm torn on what to play. And you were like, are you going to pick what I think you're going to pick? And I was immediately like, you know what? Yeah, I am. So in a way, you inspired this too. So give yourself a little credit. But yeah, dude, I'm happy that everybody enjoyed it as much as they did.
Yeah, thank you, Worm Tongue, for licking your horrible ideas in this guy's ear.
Literally and figuratively.
Dude, I would give his ear a little kiss. I get it.
All right,
He's
so
pretty hot, you know?
we don't have many questions. And I know it's getting late for Mikhailov. So let's bust through these real quick and then get to Nate's pick and then we'll roll out of this bitch.
So the first question comes in from our boy Adam, who wants to know who wins between Squall and Cloud.
Okay, so I did not read these ahead of time, but immediately what jumps in my head, right? Cloud and Squall fighting with their swords. Squall, Cloud blocks him. They're in that movie style where they got their swords like this, and Squall just tilts his down a little bit and pulls the trigger and blows Cloud's fucking brains out. And Squall wins.
I disagree. Squall fucking is a low-rent mercenary. Cloud is a fucking dope-ass dude.
Cloud was also
He'll
a
kill him.
low-rent mercenary.
He was, but he didn't know that.
Fair. And perception is everything.
He thinks he's fucking Zack. He thinks he's fucking Zack. And that's how he gets his powers.
I do think I like Final Fantasy VIII more than I like Final Fantasy VII, and I do think Cloud takes this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cloud as well. But my justification is not necessarily like their ability to fight each other. It's more the fact that, Square Enix had a choice on which Final Fantasy game to do a massive remake on, and they didn't choose Squall, they chose Cloud.
Yeah.
Now in my head, I'm picturing Cloud on the ground. Squall on the ground. Big ass Buster Sword sticking out of his chest. A little chat bubble just says, ... Whatever.
And then another person comes up later and looks at the scene and is like, did Cloud do this? All right. Our next question comes in from Adam, which asks, what is a series or franchise that everyone wants to complete from the following genres? So let's all go around the circle with A, which is the RPG genre.
Now, when he says everyone, does he mean like everyone, like
just
in the
you.
world, or does it just?
He's
mean
asking us individually.
Okay.
For me, I'll go ahead and start with the RPG. The one that I would like to beat every game in, and I know y'all are probably shocked that I haven't, is the Dragon Quest series. I want to go through the ones that I haven't beaten yet, like 4, 7, 8. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you had played 7 or 9, because I know that those are kind of the oddball ones. 7's a PlayStation 1 game and stupid long from what I hear. It's super long for PS1 game. And then 9 is the DS game that was half online.
10 was the online one, but
10 was
9's
the
hard to
online
get
one.
to in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I haven't dabbled in 7 yet. I've dabbled in 8 a little bit, and it's pretty good, and I need to get back to it. I was playing it on a 2DS. I want them to port it to... I wanted them to port it to the PC, because I think I'd have a better time with it.
Yeah, or Switch, something.
Wasn't 8 on PS2?
PS2. Yeah, so you
Probably
could emulate
emulate
PS2
PS2.
version. Yeah.
Might be better.
8 was fucking awesome, by the way. That's where they got the current art style from, where it uses the cel-shaded shit.
Yeah.
8 is awesome.
As a matter of fact, if you've got a fairly modern PC, I'm pretty sure you can up the resolution. You can play in 1080p.
Okay, I might have to try that.
Yeah. RPG. Oh man. I'm torn between 2 series, so I want to mention them both. The Witcher, because I really like The Witcher 3. The Witcher 1's combat hasn't aged the greatest, so that's the one that I'm worried about going back to. But
They're
I hear
remaking
that Witcher...
it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well then there you go. When they remake that, because Witcher 2 is old, but not that old. You know what I mean? It's like Xbox 360 old.
Yeah, no, you can get through Witcher 2. It's a fairly short game. You could get through Witcher 2 and not have to worry about mechanics or anything like that. But yeah, Witcher 1 did not age well at all. And that's got some great...
Everyone just says skip the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, no, Witcher 1 has some great plot points and some great characters. So I'm really glad that they're remaking it because there's a lot of story there that people are missing out because the gameplay isn't as good as it should be.
It's literally based on books. Read the book then.
The books take place before the games.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's like
well, now I feel foolish.
4 hour or so retrospective I watched on the first Witcher game where he spends the first 30 minutes talking about how dog shit the game has aged as far as combat and stuff. Yeah. And then he goes, but that being said, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played, and here's why. And he goes, and then he spends the next 3.5 hours talking about why the game is awesome. But so there's that, and then there's, and I'm gonna lump these together, BioWare RPGs. So the Mass Effect trilogy, and then Andromeda, and then the Dragon Age trilogy, and then the Dreadwolf game that's coming out, or whatever it's called now.
I feel like you got away with the cheat there, but I'm kind of on board with it.
I don't care. But the especially like when I've started Dragon Age and Mass Effect both, and I'm already like both of those games have their claws into me a little bit, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna save Mass Effect for the show. Dragon Age I'm gonna play in the background though.
Cool.
So fair.
Those are the ones I think. Yeah, BioWare is my answer.
Cool.
BioWare. So that leaves who's next?
One of those two nerds, yeah.
I don't think it's unobvious. I want to finish the Doom series.
That's not RPG.
Doom Eternal. Wait,
we were talking about RPGs.
Was the question?
Yeah.
Shit. Hold on. Let me go look at the question again real quick. You know what? You get on. I'll figure it out.
Just say Yakuza. You know you want to finish that series.
God, it is true, though. It is super true. You know what? Actually, that is my genuine answer, is I would love to play Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7, and
8 Infinite Wealth.
8 and Gaiden, yeah.
And then you got Infinite Wealth and The Man Who Erased His Name. Like, there's a lot.
Those are literally two of the names I've just said.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, both of us said them.
Well, fuck.
It's okay. What's yours, Mikhailov?
I don't know if this is going to come to any surprise, but...
The Ys series, okay.
I want to play all the Ys games now.
Nice.
Like, especially the later ones that have similar gameplay to this one. But, like, just like you guys playing Trails got your hooks into Trails, or you playing Yakuza 0 got your hooks into that series, my hooks are in the series now. And when I'm done beating this game, I want to play more Ys.
If I can point you in a direction, people consider, after Ys VIII, people consider Ys VIII the best one, usually.
Yeah.
Oath and Felghana is the next one that people say is the next best, or the best, is Oath and Fel, which is the remake of the one that you're used to, I believe. So,
yeah.
There you go.
That would be cool, because I still have a physical copy of Wanderers from Ys somewhere down here where all my retro crap is. But to be able to play a modern version of that, well, damn. Especially if I get to play as Dogi, because I like Dogi.
Dogi's cool.
We didn't really talk about him. And
I was really disappointed we did not get much interaction with Dogi other than just like chatting with him in the village, because he seemed like the guy that knows me the most, you know?
Yeah, and he's I'm sorry I cut you off, Dalton.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say he's in all the games from what I remember, except Origins, and because he's like Adol's best friend, and he is playable in 7.
Cool.
That's what I know.
Yeah, and Dogi was playable in Wanderers from Ys for the SNES. I do remember that vividly. I would always gravitate toward Adol. I just will always play as him whenever I have a chance.
Well, I think in Felghana you only play as Adol.
Yeah, which, that's perfectly fine, because he's the cornerstone. These are his stories. I love that these are short story-esque, or like seasons of a TV show-esque. Like, it's basically a memoir. And I really like that. It's basically me picking up this game, playing through it, and beating it is like reading a chapter book from beginning to end. And I feel like when I play the next one, it's going to be like picking up another chapter book and reading it beginning to end.
So what you're saying is that Adol was the video game equivalent of like Harry Dresden from the Dresden Files. There's like like 20 books, all different tales of.
It
makes sense, Mikhailov.
I was gonna more liken him to book Geralt as opposed to video game Geralt.
Okay, I can see that too.
Because Geralt is in all the books; those are all his stories, and you read those from
sticking to 'em.
beginning to end. Yeah. So
Word up.
I also do like that Adol is the author of these stories, so we're getting it all from like his point of view.
Yeah, for sure. I like the continuation. The building with the character throughout multiple games. It's good. So what's
Willie
up next?
hasn't
Action.
given his RPG answer yet.
Oh,
He said
I thought he picked
Yakuza.
okay.
Yakuza.
Okay,
I
fair.
said,
all right.
yeah,
The
I
next,
said like a dragon.
I kind of answered for him. I did the controlling husband
yeah,
thing.
but it was the correct answer.
so the next
honestly.
genre is an action game series from that you'd like to beat. So I had already thought of my answer for this, and my answer for my favorite, the action series I want to beat is Yakuza.
There you go.
Well, between the two of us, we'll fucking get it done then, huh?
Man, I could make a joke and just be like, "Oh, mine's the Ys series," but I really would like to do Ys. But I think action-wise, I would like to play through all of the Red Dead games. 2, 1, Undead Nightmare, and Revolver.
I feel that.
I think would be fun. What about you, Mikhailov?
I mean, as far as action games go, I think I'm just gonna cop out and say Legend of Zelda.
Nothing wrong with that. And Willie?
Yeah, I would really love to just get all the Castlevania games
It's a good
played.
choice. And then
All
the
right.
last genre is C. Any other genre you'd like to beat all the games from? Like, not genre, but whatever series from that genre. So pick a genre and a series.
All right, yeah, I've got one. There is a text adventure genre I would like to beat all the games of, and
I thought
that's
you were going to say Doom.
Oh. Okay.
Doom?
You know, I was gonna say what? No, I already said Doom earlier in this one. Fucking
Yeah, when we
Doom,
were
pay
talking about
attention.
RPGs, fucking pay attention.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Tonight at 11.
Doom. I think my any other genre would be Mortal Kombat. Going through and playing all the Mortal Kombats. I've played a good chunk of them, but there are plenty that I haven't. So
It's fair.
This is gonna sound weird. So my initial answer was gonna be like fishing games or fishing style games, or like slice of life games. I'd really love to kind of dip my toes in the Rune Factory series, because that's kind of a slice of life game that also has adventure and base building and all that kind of stuff.
Man, there's a really sweet visual novel I would love to play with you called Doki Doki Literature Club. I think you would have a great time with that.
Slice of lifey?
Yeah, it very much so. It's
you could say that.
you-
There's slicing in it for sure.
yeah.
Willie,
And life.
is Willie's Willie involved?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
All right, good.
No.
All right.
Come on.
You never know. His name is Willie.
Wow, dude, that's rude.
He's a williest.
Sorry, I'm just messing with you. I love you. Did I
So
really? Oh, he's really upset.
no, he's not. Nate.
No, I'm cool.
He got
What
the
about-
pouty face. No, really, like the stuff that has to do with my starting to like fishing games and fishing genres. Is this little game right here?
Mm-hmm.
Called Dave the Diver. This is just a fun little game, and this has a lot of little slice of lifey things to it.
You
But-
should check.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll say check out Dredge.
There's Dredge DLC,
Yeah,
There's
you
a
should,
crossover.
you should check out.
and then there's a Godzilla crossover too. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off, but that's gonna be fun.
Yo, what?
That's cool.
This is Dave the Diver's kind of my off game. Like, if I just need to pick up and play a game for a little bit, I'll just play this.
I've heard it's good. I haven't dove into it.
I'm
Myself,
kind of
but-
hoping you guys want to do it for the show one time, because I would love to talk about that game.
Could come up.
It's possible.
But I'm also starting to get a little bit of interest in the Soul Calibur series.
I love Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 4.
Specifically,
soul still burns.
the character of Siegfried.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
guy, man, that guy has some ups and downs as the series progresses.
Yes. That dude, I love when a fighting game has good lore.
Yeah.
And Soul Calibur is one of those games that has really fun lore to it. So yeah, I can see that.
And unfortunately, I worry that you're going to have to beat the game on higher difficulty settings to get that lore, like with Street Fighter. But all the same, I don't know. There's something about that character and, how he becomes Nightmare. And I remember seeing a piece of artwork, and I think it's from the later games, because I think he gets possessed by the Soul Edge a couple at different times. Definitely in 2.
Siegfried becomes Nightmare.
Yeah, he becomes Nightmare. Yeah. And most of the time Nightmare's, wearing a helmet, but there was a piece of artwork that I remember seeing where he's Nightmare and he's got the Soul Edge, but he's not wearing the helmet, and it's Siegfried, but with like long hair and like red eyes. And is that 4?
I believe that's in Soul Calibur 4. You get an outfit where it's Siegfried. He's got no shirt on. He's got long flowing blonde hair, but he's got that sword attached to his arm.
Yeah,
and he's a boss character you have to fight. Yeah.
Okay.
It's 3 or 4. It's one of the two. But yeah, any of the Soul Calibur games are fantastic, dude.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's something about that character specifically that intrigues me.
I have Soul Calibur 6. It's a good fucking time. So I can recommend any of those games, dude. Legit.
Nice.
Yeah, and I guess for mine, from the platforming genre, I want to beat every Sonic game.
That tracks.
Hell yeah.
All right, our next question is, there's a monster under your bed. It's from Jeff. There's a monster under your bed. Your last save image is the monster. What is it? Scared emoji. So...
Shit, the last image I saved was literally Sahad saying, well, shit.
So, I don't...
The less...
I don't save a lot of images, but like I said, I saved one to my phone a few days ago. It was from my DNA test, and it says... Hey, Nathan, you have more Neanderthal DNA than 53% of other customers, so I guess the monster under my desk is a Neanderthal.
I mean, the monster under my bed is the little tiny one that lives in my house anyways. So I already love him.
The monster under my bed would be some sort of crazy mutant Japanese souffle pancake. Which could be an interesting anime. Good. That time I was reincarnated as a Japanese souffle pancake.
It's a picture I took. It's a picture of my lizard, so he can be under my bed. That's fine.
Oh, where's Buddy? That's just fucking Dale. He's
All right, our next question comes from Adam, who asks, what changes would you want to see in an Ys sequel? My answer is get rid of the raids.
Well, you should be happy to know. I don't think they return in 9.
Are they in any of the earlier ones?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, good. I think that was just a mechanic specifically for this game just because of the locale.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't make any changes at all. I really enjoyed the gameplay.
The only thing I'd want to change is I don't want to be on an island for the next Ys game I play. I want to be like on the mainland, or I want to be exploring the actual world. And I mean, I guess I want to kind of like earn money and use money to buy upgrades as opposed to gathering items and that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
Like more traditional RPG-ish, but I can't say that this gameplay loop was bad. I think I just want a slightly different gameplay loop.
From what I know of Ys 9, that game takes place in a giant like prison city type thing, and you have a way to glide of some sort. I'll put it that way. But it's a lot darker. Like apparently Ys 9's tone is a lot darker than Ys 8's tone was.
Wow.
And
you get a full party in that game too.
In 9?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
I think I'm not 100% sure. It might have gone back to just Adol. I don't know much. I tried not to spoil myself too much about Monstrum Nox because I would like to play it at some point. I might acquire it and give it a shout now that I've beaten 8.
I might get the Switch version. I don't know why. I feel like collecting these physical now.
The thing that intrigues me about 9, and would be my recommendation, is that like I really liked when this game did like the murderer and like whodunit type thing. So like to see an Ys game really take like a dark turn where you're dealing with some really depressing, I'll use the word depressing shit that Adol has to like kind of conquer and come out of. Not that the end of the world like this game was, but like maybe somebody's got Doji and he's got to do something at a certain time where Doji just meets his demise. You know what I mean? But then again, I don't want a game with a timer.
So you're looking for a darker Ys game. May I recommend Shin Megami Tensei?
Son of a bitch.
He didn't say darker Pokemon.
That's the joke.
I love it. That's the joke.
All right, and the last question, also from Adams. Were there any good or difficult enemies in the game? I'll say the boss fights later in the game get difficult and are still good. I'll say, like I mentioned on the episode earlier, I think that some of the late game stage enemies were just more spongy, and I just started running past them. The bosses were still really a joy to fight, and they took a while and were difficult.
I think some of the hardest fights that I had were with the fish. But now Mikhailov, you're not there yet. Nate and Willie, did you guys complete that tower in Dana's time and Donna's timeline?
I did.
Okay, so do you mind if I go into a little bit of that? Okay, so you get all the way to the bottom, and there's a specific character who kind of stands out in the pastime. If you think about it, you'll know who I'm talking about. She stands out amongst the other kids and stuff. She's at the very bottom. She meets you there, and she's like, yeah, now I want to test you, and she turns into a big fucking dragon.
Okay, cool.
And you have to fight her. And she has 3 different stances, just like cool. Donna does. So you're having to switch between your stances to counter the stances that boss is throwing at you. And then that ends, she explains who she actually is, and you learn all about that, where she's a goddess, yada, yada, yada. And that fight was probably the most difficult that I had, for sure. Now,
yeah, that was a rough one, man.
Willie, I'm sure your answer is the optional boss that you ran upon, where you sent me the screenshot of your characters where you had 0 HP, 1 HP, and 1 HP.
Oh, no, those are 2 different things.
Oh.
I sent you those when I was fighting the true final boss.
Oh, okay.
I also ran into a separate fight that was like level 80, way earlier. And, yeah, I hung in there for a really long time, got it down to the last, bar, and then I got fucking wiped. So that's good.
Hey, but you got real close though for being super duper low level, so good on you for it.
Yeah, no, I could probably go back in.
I ran into that boss and I just reloaded my last save. I was like, nope, not doing this.
What about you, Mikhailov? Any particular enemies stood out so far?
Not yet, but I'm sure I'll get there.
Now, I will say one of the claims online about this game, people complained about it being easy. And anytime I saw someone say this game's too easy, people in the comments would be like, well, have you heard of the difficulty slider? Because you can make it harder if you need to make it harder.
Yeah, because I felt like this game was painfully easy when I first got started. And then I just put it on hard mode, and then I had a good time.
And let me tell you, when I was going through and looking for Chivos, I just bumped it up to Nightmare to see how it plays. And enemies are even more spongy. So, like, Nightmare could be a nightmare. I could see how that could be true to its name. But that's the end of the questions, which means, Nate, what do I got to install, buddy?
So, as you and Willie know, I was kind of debating between 2 games. Like, I narrowed down my list. Not very...
I believe you wanted to go deep. You wanted to go underwater.
Either way, we're going underwater this time. Like 2 very different games, but similarly themed that they were both deep ocean type games. One of which I was looking at was Subnautica, which I've always been really intrigued by that game. It looks super cool. And the other one was BioShock, which is a game that's been, I feel like, a very classic kind of game. That's always kind of been one that I've never gone through and played for myself. And just one that, honestly, it's one I kind of feel like I owe myself to play through at least one time. So I have landed. We are going to be playing BioShock for the podcast this week. Over the next 2 weeks.
All right. Now, I want to tell you, I don't know if you already own it. There are 2 different versions. I don't know if you can buy the OGs anymore. I think you can just get the remasters now. But I own 2 different versions, so maybe I'll check them both out.
I do have both versions, but I am just going to play the remastered.
Yeah, it's BioShock 2 Remaster that has a bunch of negative reviews on Steam. I don't know why, but yeah. So cool, man. BioShock. Well then, let's see. Well, I guess that just leaves house cleaning. So in the vein of Nate's choice, would you kindly go to iTunes and Spotify and leave us a review, maybe 5 stars on iTunes? That would really help us out, the algorithm and all of that jazz. If you want to join us over in Discord, you can kindly do that at bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. You can come in and join in on the shenanigans. Come vote in the polls. We got the fan game poll. We got the short game poll. We got the retro game poll. Right now, the fan game poll is being... Pathologic 2 is winning that one. The short game poll, we have a close call right now between Katamari Damacy Reroll and Baseball Stars 2. And for the retro game poll, right now winning is Oregon Trail, but right on its hind legs is Rayman 2: The Great Escape. So if you want to come make a difference and you really want one of those games to win, or if you want to come in and try to campaign for one of the other games on the list to win, you're more than welcome to do that. bit.ly/TSMP Discord. Capitalize all of those and you'll get the invite. Come join. It's a good time. And we got like 70 people in here that are all super chill. Come join. You want to check out the website, which is now back up to date thanks to one Dane, Mr. Puzzles, bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast, just capitalized phonetically. If you would like to donate to the Patreon, help support the show, and literally help support me at the moment because I am currently looking for work, that would be patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast.
And I just want to point out that this week, the Patreon followers got a chunky Patreon section, so they got their money's worth this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. $1 or more a month will get you the episodes early, and you get our little banter in the beginning, which this week, like we said, is a good chunk for you guys. And if you donate $10 or more a month, you get all of that, plus your name read out on each and every episode. Like Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube, Ariesoradam. Shout out to him and his podcast, Revival and Extinction. Go listen to it in his archives, wherever you get your podcast. TeamRetrogue, Mikhailov, go check him out over on YouTube. Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, Chad the Mad Lad, no goddamn C in his last name, Shaffer, and Flyin Brian, Doran Gray. I appreciate you gentlemen very, very much. And your boy here released a new album. So if you want to go check that out, it is nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. It's called Vivid Dream World. It is an instrumental electronic album. I really enjoyed putting it together. I've had some people DM me and tell me it's my best album yet. I'm not going to claim that because I don't like that kind of thing. Like, I don't like tooting my own horn. But there is some stuff that I wrote on it that's been stuck in my own head, so that's felt shitty in a weird way. Not shitty, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com, Vivid Dream World. Go pick it up. It's not expensive, so and any little bit helps me right now. I'm trying to put some money aside to get Lilith spayed when the time comes, and that time is approaching soon. So any little bit helps. Merch link. You want to get a shirt? tsmpproductions.threadless.com. Shout out to Yabspod, yet another BS podcast. Go check out the archives on that. Shout out to the JRPG report, which me and Mikhailov do bi-weekly. Yeah, and anything else? Mikhailov, plug your stuff, my good sir.
TeamRetrogue on YouTube. I think that's all I got. Everything else you could pretty much find once you get there.
All his links are on his YouTube. Go check it out. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. If you're interested in handheld gaming at all, that is the YouTube channel for you. Boys, we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about some BioShock. And if this was the JRPG report, I would ask, would you kindly get out there and level up? But since it's not, I'm just going to say, take it easy.